Chapter 1335. Yiqing Luo smiled slightly as she politely thanked him. She squinted her eyes as she sized up the director with a smile, which didn't look like a smile, as she couldn't help but laugh in her heart. She didn't know how this director managed to survive for so many years without anyone noticing anything strange about him. He was just here specially to meet him, and he was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. Such a timid person. Even the dark forces dared to use him. Oh, right. It was because Director was timid that the dark forces dared to rush in. Yiqing Luo hid the disdainful sneer in her eyes as she smiled faintly. Thank you, Director, for empathizing with the students. I represent Devil Class students to thank Director. Actually, Ghost Doctor had mentioned to me about the matter of applying for leave earlier. Director beamed as he said, trying his best to maintain his calm expression. With Ghost Doctor personally treating Devil Class students will definitely recover as soon as possible. With Director's auspicious words, Devil Class students will definitely recover as soon as possible. Yiqing Luo smiled as she said, so? Devil Class's reward this time will probably have to be delayed. What does Director think? How about after the Academy's exchange meet? Director's smile froze. He then recalled that Yiqing Luo had challenged Zi, Qianqian, and won. So she could choose 10 students to enter the class of gods to learn. Enter the class of gods to learn. It wasn't just learning, but specially selected to become his lordship's food. These 10 students were outstanding students who had gone through several rounds of competitions and were finally chosen to enter the class of gods. Although it was called training, it was actually to become the most delicious food and to undergo a month of rearing before presenting them to his lordship. Now, the students of the Devil Class obtained victory. Even if they chose the strongest 10 students in Devil Class, no matter how they reared them, they would still be inferior food. His lordship would definitely blame him. Of course, this was the rule that had been set over the years. If he rejected Devil Class, not only would he not be able to answer to the world, he would not be able to answer to the main courtyard. Thinking of this, Director broke out in cold sweat. Does Director feel that my suggestion is inappropriate? Yiqing Luo half squinted her eyes as she looked at him with a smile, which didn't look like a smile. Director suddenly regained his senses as he raised his hand to wipe the sweat off his forehead, not knowing why. The more he faced Yiqing Luo, the more he felt guilty. It was as if that pair of quick-witted eyes had already seen through everything in his heart. Then it's decided. After the exchange meet, the student from the class of devils will go to the class of gods to continue their studies. The dean adjusted his own mentality, trying hard to maintain the calmness in his heart. Speaking of the Academy Exchange Conference, he had forgotten. When the time came, he just had to think of a way to let the Devil Class students go to the Blazing Flame Nest. Everything after that would be left to the Wolf Saint Law. As long as all the Devil Class students died in the Blazing Flame Nest, he would then be able to arrange for other food to enter the class of gods to be raised. No, trained. With that thought in mind, the dean's anxious heart finally calmed down. In order to perform well in the Academy's exchange meet a month later, I'll have to trouble Student Yi to take good care of the students of Devil Class and strive to recover as soon as possible. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly. I will definitely not disappoint Director. She emphasized the word disappointed with a hidden meaning. Right now, the headmaster's thoughts were all on how to trick the students of the various academies into going to the Flame Nest during the exchange meet. Thus, he did not understand the deeper meaning behind Qin Lai's words. His gaze landed on Long Yunjian, who had not spoken a single word since entering the dean's office. Chapter 1336. This is... Director's expression turned slightly strange. His vision stared at Long Yunjian's eyes without blinking. This azure blue gem-like eyes. Why did it look so familiar? In the bottom of his heart, a strange feeling started to spread. This is Devil Class Monitor Long Yunjian. Director should have seen him during the interclass competition. Yiqing Luo didn't miss any expression from Director. His astonishment and strangeness were all in her eyes. Only she didn't understand. Why would director use such a gaze to look at Long Yunjian? Could it be that he knew Long Yunjian previously? Devil class. Class monitor. Director muttered a few words. In his memory, he had indeed seen this young man with a pair of blue pupils that day during the competition. But this face, this pair of eyes. He was Devil class monitor? Could it be his lordship? Director, is there any problem? Yiqing Luo's puzzled voice was heard. Director's deep thoughts were interrupted. He immediately kept his emotions, shook his head, and waved his hand, as though he was anxious to draw a clear line. No problem. I just feel that Devil class monitor and the previous competition looks different. Yiqing Luo didn't hide it, because Ajan is also a member of the world group. If we don't disguise ourselves during the competition, if we're discovered by other mercenary groups, then Devil class will not be able to compete in peace. Disguise. Director's face turned pale once again. This made him recall the scene of Butterfly Saint technique disguising herself as Lu Shuiyu to participate in the finals. Although Director was suspecting if those so-called disguised students and Devil class students were the same, but he couldn't show it out. After all, there was already Butterfly Saint technique. If they really wanted to investigate the matter of disguise, Butterfly Saint technique could easily be implicated. It's getting late. I have to go and chat with the elders. You need to recuperate from your injuries. Go back first. Director waved his hand. Yiqing Luo bid farewell to Director and left the director's office with Long Yunjian. Before leaving, Yiqing Luo specially observed Director's expression. As expected, Director's gaze was fixed on Long Yunjian, as though he was confirming something. Director, he had met Long Yunjian previously, and there seemed to be some special relationship. After walking out of the director's office, Yiqing Luo's peripheral vision swept the surroundings as she suppressed her voice. Ajan, have you and the director met before? I don't remember. Long Yunjian also noticed that there was something wrong with the dean's strange gaze. His handsome brows furrowed slightly. Ever since I can remember, I've been in the Devil class for almost 5 years, but I've never met the dean face to face. Yiqing Luo remained silent for a moment. There's a possibility. Director knows about the memory you've lost. The look in the dean's eyes was not as simple as he said. In Long Yunjian's memory, he had never had a face-to-face chat with the dean. In other words, other than Long Yunjian's memories, the dean had seen him before. Where and under what circumstances did he meet Long Yunjian? Perhaps through the principal, he would be able to retrieve the lost memories of Long Yunjian. Upon hearing Yiqing Luo's words, Long Yunjian's expression instantly froze. He knows the past me. If my intuition isn't wrong, you can put it that way. Yiqing Luo nodded. After we return to the academy, we can start to investigate. Long Yunjian lowered his eyes. His thick, long lashes covered the emotions in his eyes. From Yiqing Luo's angle, she looked at his half-emotionless side profile. Inexplicably, a surge of melancholy arose from the bottom of her heart. A life without any memories was very scary. Towards the past, only a piece of blank space was very scary. Chapter 1337. Returning to the Shi family's residence, Long Yunjian's emotions were complicated as he went straight back to his room. Yiqing Luo didn't stop him. At this moment, Long Yunjian definitely wanted to be alone for a while. To be alone, to recall that blank memory. Looking at Long Yunjian's departing figure, Yiqing Luo suddenly thought of something as she summoned Chi-Chi from the pet space. Chi-Chi was a sacred beast white tiger, and it was very clear about some matters regarding the human and dragon race. If Chi-Chi and Long Yunjian had a good chat, to Long Yunjian, it should make him feel better. Chi-Chi gave a howl as it wagged its tail, and its petite body chased after Long Yunjian. Just as Chi-Chi disappeared, a huge black figure descended from the sky and landed in front of her with a single leap. Shiju, welcome back. Yiqing Luo patted its head. Shiju's ears twitched as its huge eyes looked towards the direction where Chi-Chi disappeared. It turned its head to look at Yiqing Luo as it gave a puzzled tone. roar, as though it was asking what Chi was doing there. It will be back to accompany you in a while. Yiqing Luo's gaze turned gentle as she laughed lightly. Have you completed the things that I instructed you to do? Shiju's huge head nodded fiercely as it howled a few times with a roar sound. Witness Shangguan Lu Li being torn apart by the magical beasts. When did she die? Yiqing Luo's lips curled up in satisfaction as her tone was calm, totally unlike a discussion about a person's death. Roar! Shiju responded as its huge head swayed as it rubbed against Yiqing Luo's palm. Yiqing Luo nodded. She only died when the head was bitten? Indeed, a scourge. Its vitality is so tenacious. Before Shangguan Lu Li died, the pain she suffered was not even comparable to her brother's pain. Just letting her maintain her consciousness and enjoy the pain of being bitten by the magical beast was considered letting her off easy. Of course, she wouldn't let Shangguan Lu Li die so easily. Magic Beast Forest was filled with dense Yin-Chi. The air was filled with a bone-chilling Yin-Chi. And in the Magic Beast Forest, the souls of the deceased who were dismembered by the magical beasts would similarly be devoured by the magical beasts. Which meant Shangguan Lu Li had no afterlife. She was gone forever. Go take a rest. By the time you wake up, Chi will be back. Yiqing Luo rubbed Shiju's head as she spoke in a gentle voice. Shiju howled in a low voice. Its body suddenly became the size of a palm. It leapt onto Yiqing Luo's shoulder and stuck out its tongue to lick Yiqing Luo's face before withdrawing back into the pet space. Yiqing Luo's fingertips brushed past the wetness on her cheeks. He couldn't help but reveal a gentle smile on his face. Magical Beast Forest, that was where Shiju's mother was. Yiqing Luo had her own selfish motives for letting Shiju go over. She wanted Shiju to take a look at its mother. She thought that since Shiju did not return from the magical beast forest for a night, it must have gone to see its mother. But Shiju did not. Touching Shiju's fur, he could clearly feel the moisture on its body. It was the touch of being wet with dew. Shiju's intimacy towards her seemed to be because it wanted to feel a trace of warmth from her. Shiju, last night, after watching Shangguan Lu Li being devoured, he had indeed gone to the 5th level, but it didn't meet its mother. It only stood at the 5th level, looking at the place where it grew up, looking at its mother from afar. This child. Chapter 1338. Suddenly, Yiqing Luo seemed to understand something. This was the reason why Shiju's mother could not bear to part with Shiju, but still insisted that she take Shiju away. Because of Shiju, they needed to follow in the footsteps of humans and grow slowly. Right now, Shiju was slowly becoming stronger, slowly becoming a truly mature mirage beast. She believed one day she would definitely be able to bring Shiju back to the 5th level of the magical beast forest in a flashy manner. He brought Shiju to see Shiju's mother in the most dazzling way. After adjusting her emotions, Yiqing Luo looked towards the direction of Yin Xiaoyi's courtyard. Before she left, Yin Xiaoyi's expression and that sentence made Yiqing Luo extremely worried. Although he had Kitty Li look after Yin Xiaoyi, Kitty Li herself was still a child. She might not be able to take good care of Yin Xiaoyi. As he was thinking, he had already arrived at the door of Yin Xiaoyi's room. The door was tightly shut and there was no sound at all. Yiqing Luo frowned. If Kitty Li was around, the room shouldn't be so quiet. He knocked on the door, but there was no response. She pursed her lips and pushed the door open. As expected, it was just as he had imagined. The room was empty. The bed that Yin Xiaoyi had lain on was neat and tidy, and a new set of bedding had been changed. Blue bedding. This was Yin Xiaoyi's favorite color. The chilly air in the air told her that no one had entered this room for at least 2 hours. Yin Xiaoyi's injuries were serious, and she had to stay in bed to recuperate. Why would he leave this room? Wasn't Kitty Li taking care of Yin Xiaoyi? Why was Kitty Li nowhere to be seen? Looking at the tidy new bedding on the bed, Yin Xiaoyi shouldn't have gotten into any trouble. He should still be in this residence. Yiqing Luo left the courtyard and saw a maidservant carrying a medicinal soup walking forward carefully. She stopped the maid and asked where Yin Xiao Yi went. The maidservant bowed politely and said, "Eldest young master is sunbathing with the future eldest young mistress in the garden. This servant is preparing to deliver medicine to the future eldest young mistress." Garden? Sunbathing? Xishang Lan brought them over? Could it be that he didn't know that a patient who was seriously injured due to profound energy could not be easily moved? Seeing Yi Qing Luo's expression sunk, the maid hurriedly explained, "Seventh Miss Yi, please don't worry. Eldest young master specially asked Sir Ghost Doctor before he brought future eldest young madam to the garden. Moreover, Master Qiao and Miss Li Mao are both in the garden, so future eldest young madam will be fine." Hearing Ghost Doctor's name, Yi Qing Luo heaved a sigh of relief. But when she heard the second half of the sentence, Yi Qing Luo suddenly felt a gust of wind messed up. Xiao Jin was also here. What the hell was going on? Yi Qing Luo couldn't be bothered to say anything as she dashed towards the direction of the garden. Just as he reached the entrance of the garden, he heard Kitty Li's joyful laughter coming from within. From afar, he could see all kinds of colorful flowers. The flowers were bright and beautiful, and they were incomparably beautiful. A black figure was fluttering among the flowers, chasing after the butterflies. Not far away, there were 3 people sitting in a pavilion. Just by looking at the surface, there was a warm atmosphere. But Yi Qing Luo, who knew the inside story, obviously saw the shapeless sword shadows in the air. Yin Xiao Yi sat on a wheelchair, which looked like a wheelchair. Xishang Lan leaned close to her, occasionally inquiring about her well-being, passing over some fruits which had already been peeled. Yin Xiao Yi looked at the flowers, at Kitty Li, who was fluttering about, as she laughed softly from time to time. Occasionally, she would turn her head sideways and eat the fruits which Xishang Lan passed her lips. Whereas on the side of the stone table, Xiao Jin sat there expressionlessly. Chapter 1339. The correct way to show off their affection in front of their love rivals should not be. Xiao Jin bristled with anger. He realized that he couldn't stand Yin Xiao Yi being with another man, so he forcefully snatched her back and started a series of love and hate. However, the reality was, Yi Qing Luo wanted to ridicule in her heart. "Jinzi, aren't you a little too calm? Isn't there something wrong with this style?" Feng Ling had only held onto DMO Xian's arm, and she already had the urge to tear Feng Ling apart. Chu Wuxin had only checked if she was in disguise and touched her face when DMO Xian got jealous and punished her harshly. When he saw the loving scene of Yin Xiao Yi and Xishang Lan, Xiao Jin was actually sitting at the side and watching. Xiao Jin's heart was so strong. In any case, if it were her, she would definitely not be able to remain so calm. "Kitty." Yi Qing Luo called Kitty Li's name as she walked into the flowers. With a plop, a small figure fell beside her legs. The petals splashed up, flying with the wind. Kitty Li raised her head. Due to her fall, the black hat on her head had fallen to the ground, revealing 2 black cat ears. When he saw Yi Qing Luo, his ears twitched, and he beamed with joy. "Sister, you're back." Yi Qing Luo picked up her hat and helped her put it on as she asked in a low voice, "Didn't I ask you to take care of Xiao Yi? Why did you bring her here?" Kitty Li stuck onto Yi Qing Luo as she hugged her arm with both hands. "Young master," she saw that Sister Xiao Yi wanted to come out to bask in the sun, so he asked Sister Xiao Yi to come out to bask in the sun with him. Brother Jinzi also agreed, so Kitty Li felt that there shouldn't be any problem. Jinzi also agreed? In other words, did Jinzi really intend to give up and matchmake in Xiao Yi and Xishang Lan? Fine. Very good. Very powerful. She didn't need to rely on the wall to admire Xiao Jin. "I'll go take a look." Yi Qing Luo rubbed Kitty Li's head. The furry texture was as soft as a kitten's. Kitty Li nodded her head vigorously as she released Yi Qing Luo's arm. Then it jumped back into the flowers. Even in human form, Kitty Li still retained the characteristics of a half-beast. Cats were especially interested in moving things, and Kitty Li was no exception. When Yiqing Luo walked to the pavilion, Xishanlan was feeding Yin Xiao a piece of sparkling sweet pear. Yin Xiao lifted her eyelids as she forced out a smile. Qing Luo, how's the matter of applying for leave? The dean agreed. Yiqing Luo sat by Qiao Jin's side and glanced sideways at Qiao Jin before looking at Xishanlan. Why is young master she so free? Xishanlan looked at Yin Xiao warmly. His eyes were filled with tenderness as he replied, Xiao is so badly injured. As her fiancé, if I am not by her side, I am not fit to be a man. Also, I want to be by her side. Yiqing Luo was at a loss for words as she gave a dry laugh. He kept sizing up Qiao Jin from the corner of his eyes. He realized that this fellow was indeed mentally strong. Up until now, his expression had not changed at all. It was as if he did not care about Xishanlan's words at all. If she didn't know that Qiao Jin truly liked Yin Xiao, Yiqing Luo probably thought that. Qiao Jin really didn't have any thoughts towards Yin Xiao. Lan, when are we getting married? Yin Xiao's calm voice was heard. Yiqing Luo was so shocked that she almost spilled the teacup in her hands. She suddenly put down the teacup as she stared at Yin Xiao. What did you say earlier? Chapter 1340. Marriage? Yin Xiao was planning to marry Xishanlan? Was there a mistake? Yiqing Luo finally understood what Yin Xiao meant when she said those words in the morning. Yin Xiao wanted to marry Xishanlan as Qiao Jin wished. Take revenge on Qiao Jin with your life's happiness? Yiqing Luo didn't know what she should say to dissuade Yin Xiao. She knew very well in her heart the decision that Yin Xiao had made. Unless Qiao Jin personally spoke, otherwise, Yin Xiao would really disregard everything and marry Xishanlan. If she really got married, Yin Xiao would definitely regret it in the future. Why was Yin Xiao so rash? Yiqing Luo sighed helplessly. When he thought of the culprit sitting beside him, he glared at him furiously. He lifted his leg and kicked Qiao Jin's calf. Qiao Jin's gaze still remained in front of him, as if he was looking at the flowers that filled the sky, and also as if he was thinking deeply about something. He totally did not notice Yiqing Luo's action of kicking him. At this critical juncture, how could Qiao Jin be in a daze? Yiqing Luo couldn't control her anger as she lifted her leg and kicked his calf hard. This kick finally made Qiao Jin come back to his senses. But he didn't act like his usual self, jumping up and pointing at Yiqing Luo as he scolded her. His gaze was calm as he took a faint glance at Yiqing Luo and immediately shifted his gaze away. Then, he looked towards Yin Xiao, his voice and tone no different than usual. The 20th of this month is an auspicious day. Coincidentally, it is also the time when the brothers' injuries are healed. Why not choose to get married then? As soon as these words came out, the entire pavilion fell into a deathly silence. The faint smile on Yin Xiao's face froze. She stared blankly at Qiao Jin, trying to find a trace of emotion on his face. However, she saw nothing but sincerity. Qiao Jin really, sincerely chose an auspicious day for them. The 20th of this month. Half a month later. Did he really want her to get married as soon as possible so that he could chase her away? He hated her that much? Yiqing Luo was completely stunned. They couldn't believe that these words actually came out of Qiao Jin's mouth. She stared at Qiao Jin's expressionless side profile and felt a surge of anger in her heart. Perhaps it was because she was also a woman. She also didn't know why Qiao Jin had given up on Yin Xiao. At this moment, she deeply despised Qiao Jin's cowardice and his eagerness to push Yin Xiao into someone else's arms. He once thought Qiao Jin was a daring, responsible, and unyielding person. But after Qiao Jin said these words, all these thoughts completely vanished into thin air. The 20th of this month. Xishanlan's voice broke the eerie silence. Although time is pressing, I am very willing to marry Xiao as soon as possible. He held Yin Xiao's hand tightly and said sincerely, Xiao, don't worry. Even if time is tight, I will definitely give you a grand wedding. Yin Xiao, he stared blankly at Xiao Jin. A long time passed. His pale lips moved slightly, and he spat out a word, "Okay." At the same time, an urgent voice covered Yin Xiao Yi's reply, "No, I disagree." The few of them looked towards Yi Qing Luo, who was banging the table and standing up at the same time. "Miss Yi." Shi Shanglan also stood up as his face was filled with uneasiness. "I swear, I will treat Xiao Yi well. If Miss Yi has any dissatisfaction towards me, I can correct it." Chapter 1341. When their gazes fell onto her, Yi Qing Luo suddenly regained her senses. What I mean is, Yi Qing Luo's pink lips pursed tightly as she took a look at the expressionless Xiao Jin and clenched her fists tightly. Xiao Yi is still young, and our The World Group needs a strong assistant like Xiao Yi. If she gets married now, wouldn't she have to leave the academy? This doesn't affect. I don't mind Xiao Yi. Shi Shanglan was stunned, as he immediately replied, "No way." Yi Qing Luo interrupted his words. "I mind. As the World Group's vice group leader, I mind very much." "Young master," she already said, he doesn't mind. What do you mind about? Xiao Jin frowned. Yi Qing Luo shut her eyes as she calmed her breathing. After getting married, Xiao Yi will no longer be alone. Even if young master she doesn't mind Xiao Yi continuing to study in the academy and doesn't mind Xiao Yi joining the World Group. But as his wife, no matter what, she has to put her family first and the team second. Her persuasion towards Yin Xiao Yi wasn't just because of Xiao Jin. More accurately speaking, when Xiao Jin was anxious for Yin Xiao Yi and Shi Shanglan to get married, Yi Qing Luo was already disappointed with Xiao Jin. From what she thought, no matter how big the reason was, he shouldn't be so anxious to push his beloved woman into another man's arms. Let's not talk about what kind of feelings Yin Xiao Yi had towards Shi Shanglan. Just Xiao Jin's "if I don't want it, throw it to someone else" attitude made Yi Qing Luo despise him. Yi Qing Luo's heart ached for Yin Xiao Yi. She loved such a person, so she couldn't bear to let Yin Xiao Yi lose her entire lifetime of happiness because of Xiao Jin's words. Most importantly, towards Shi Shanglan, she had never trusted him right from the start. He was absolutely not Xiao Yi's husband. Taking a deep breath, Yi Qing Luo's gaze was calm as she stared at Yin Xiao Yi. "I hope that in this current period of time, you will think of the bigger picture in your brothers and not be in a hurry to get married." Only Yin Xiao Yi alone understood the deep meaning behind these words. Yi Qing Luo was advising her that in her life, there wasn't only Xiao Jin alone. For Xiao Jin, was it worth it to sacrifice a lifetime of happiness and give up her brothers who had risked their lives for her? Yin Xiao Yi's heart, which was originally pierced by Xiao Jin's words, started to throb again. His heart seemed to have come alive. "I was too impatient." Shi Shanglan seemed to be infected by Yi Qing Luo's words as he lowered his head in embarrassment. "What young Miss Yi said is right. Xiao Yi is not a canary in a cage. She belongs to a wider forest." His smile was sincere, and his eyes were filled with sincerity as he held Yin Xiao Yi's hand and said softly, "Xiao Yi, it's all right. Go and carve out a path that belongs to you. I will wait here for you. When you are tired, we will return to our home." Such a display of true feelings, tender and sweet. No woman would be able to escape such gentleness, especially when there was a cold and aloof man beside him as a contrast. It showed how well Shi Shanglan treated Yin Xiao Yi. At this moment, Yin Xiao Yi couldn't help but sink into this gentleness. Shi Shanglan's words were truly moving and moving. In Yin Xiao Yi's mind, a sentence appeared. If the person she liked was Shi Shanglan, how good would that be? Yes, she actually began to regret falling in love with Xiao Jin. No woman would be able to maintain her composure when facing the man she loved who kept pushing her towards other men, especially a proud lady like Yin Xiao Yi. Her line of sight finally didn't look at Xiao Jin. She only nodded her head lightly. Chapter 1342. Lan, I'm sorry, I didn't consider thoroughly. Yin Xiaoyi apologized softly. She looked at this man, at this tender gaze, as though he was holding her in his palms, and cherishing her. She couldn't deny that her heart was moved. No one could escape from this gentleness. Xishanglon hurriedly shook his head. No need to apologize to me. I was too anxious and neglected your feelings. The two of them apologized to each other. When their gazes met, the two of them smiled at each other. Even Yiqing Luo, who was sitting by the side, could obviously feel that the atmosphere between Yin Xiao Yi and Xishanglon had become exceptionally harmonious. Yiqing Luo didn't know if she should say good or bad about this change. It might be better to forget about Xiao Jin and place her thoughts on another man. But that other man shouldn't be Xishanglon. No matter what, Yiqing Luo felt that this Xishanglon was extremely strange. This was a kind of intuition. She squinted her eyes as she stared at Xishanglon without blinking. She didn't miss any expression on Xishanglon's face. But still, she wasn't able to see any abnormal expression on Xishanglon's face. Just like his love for Yin Xiao Yi was from the bottom of his heart. Everything he had now was all for Yin Xiao Yi. No wonder Yin Xiao Yi would sink into it. Yiqing Luo sneaked a glance at the man next to her. He apparently felt the warm atmosphere between Yin Xiao Yi and Xishanglon. That pair of deep black eyes contracted slightly. His body suddenly tensed up. A biting, cold, murderous intent flashed past his eyes. But this emotional change only lasted for a moment. But in a blink of an eye, Xiao Jin's expression had already reverted back to its original expressionless look. It was so fast that Yiqing Luo suspected if she was hallucinating. Xiao Jin still loved Yin Xiao Yi. He still had unforgettable love and longing for Yin Xiao Yi. However, they were clearly in such a situation of love. Xiao Jin still sent Yin Xiao Yi into Xishanglon's arms for no reason. All right. No need to apologize. After Xiao Yi becomes an old lady, as the vice group leader, I will definitely let her get married. Yiqing Luo intentionally didn't see Xiao Jin's expression earlier, but intentionally teased him. Indeed, it was as Yiqing Luo had expected. The first to rebuke was Xiao Jin. Qing Luo, you can't delay Xiao Yi like this. Xiao Yi isn't going to marry you, and young master, she isn't even anxious about it. So what are you anxious about? Yiqing Luo rolled her eyes. This. Xiao Jin racked his brains to find an excuse. Xiao Yi is already 17 this year. If she gets married a few years later, it will attract gossip. Yiqing Luo's brows rose. Young master, she has already said that he doesn't mind. When Xishanglon heard his own name, he nodded warmly and said, Yes, I don't mind. As long as Xiao Yi is willing to marry me, even if I have to wait another 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, I am willing. Yiqing Luo glanced at Xishanglon. He would never let go of any opportunity to flirt with girls. His sweet words and honeyed words really made the hearts of young girls in the boudoir palpitate incessantly because of his words. Look, Yin Xiao Yi's face was already slightly red. This kind of shyness and excitement was not because she liked him. Instead, it was a kind of impulse that was stirred by the opposite sex. Chapter 1343. Yiqing Luo coughed lightly as she reminded Yin Xiao, since young master, she doesn't have any objections, then let's not talk about marriage for now. The most important thing for us now is to heal. You don't mind? Xiao Jin abruptly stood up as his face turned steely green as he stared icily at Xishanglon. Have you ever thought that Xiao Yi has the title of your fiancé, but you still haven't taken her home? In the eyes of the outside world, what kind of rumors would it be? And you? Xiao Jin's arrow was pointed directly at Yiqing Luo. Xiao Yi is not only your group member, she's also your friend. How can you give her lifetime's happiness to the world group? Xiao Jin's unreasonable outburst made the few of them instantly turn silent. Even Kitty Li, who was originally pouncing on butterflies, also turned her gaze over. Seeing the three of them staring at Xiao Jin, no one opened their mouths to speak. Kitty Li skipped and agilely flipped over the bamboo pole as she directly jumped next to Yiqing Luo. Following that, She imitated Yi Qing Luo's expression as she stared at Xiao Jin. Being messed up by Kitty Li, the few of them shifted their gazes away. Xiao Jin clenched his fists tightly as he spoke in a deep voice. Qing Luo, your considerations are not thorough. Young Master Shi and Xiao Yi's marriage is something that will happen sooner or later. Since young Master Shi is willing to let Xiao Yi live the life she wants after marriage, then this month's 20th. Ha! A clear sound of slap stopped Xiao Jin's long-winded words. Yin Xiao Yi raised her hand up high as her petite body trembled slightly as she stared fiercely at this ordinary-looking man, but that pair of eyes was so bright and mesmerizing. A fiery, numbing pain came from her palm. Her slender fingers tightened one by one as it slowly clenched into a fist. She raised her head up high as her eyes reddened as she stared coldly at Xiao Jin. The smile on her lips was extremely chilly. Xiao Jin's cheek was already red and swollen. Even the corners of his lips were oozing with a sliver of blood. It was enough to show how ruthless Yin Xiao Yi's slap was. However, Xiao Jin seemed as though he didn't notice the intense pain from that slap as he stared at Yin Xiao Yi in a daze. Xiao Jin, when I get married is my own business. It has nothing to do with you, Yin Xiao Yi said word by word in an ice-cold voice. There was a strong sense of anger in her tone. Xiao Jin's thin lips trembled. He reached out his hand, wanting to hold Yin Xiao Yi's wrist and explain. But before he could stretch his hand out, a voice suddenly rang out. Yin Xiao Yi was already extremely annoyed and shook him off. Enough. Really enough. There was another crisp sound of skin colliding. The back of Xiao Jin's hand turned red from a slap. Yin Xiao Yi clenched her fiery palms and stubbornly raised her head high. Her gaze was cold, devoid of any warmth or emotion. Xiao Jin, you don't have to like me, but please don't trample on my feelings for you. The pavilion instantly fell into a deathly silence. Yi Qing Luo's astonished gaze moved back and forth between Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi. Could it be? Last night, what happened between them was not as simple as what Yin Xiao Yi said. Yin Xiao Yi she confessed that she liked Xiao Jin. Looking at Xiao Jin's unsurprised expression, Yi Qing Luo understood. Yin Xiao Yi had indeed expressed her feelings to Xiao Jin last night. After the confession, she was wished happiness by her beloved man with another man. No wonder Yin Xiao Yi acted so strangely today. If it was her, she would probably have gone crazy. What was Xiao Jin trying to do? Chapter 1344. Xiao Jin, the one who has the least right to criticize my feelings, is you. After Yin Xiao Yi finished her sentence, she patted her wooden-wheeled chair. Shishang Lan, who was in a daze, immediately regained his senses and stood up. Shishang Lan smiled warmly at them. Then, he pushed the wooden chair and left the pavilion. Cat. Yi Qing Luo looked at Yin Xiao Yi's departing back as she called out softly. Kitty Li's little head immediately moved to his side. Follow them and take a look. Don't let Xiao Yi and Shishang Lan be alone. Yi Qing Luo rubbed her furry little head as she instructed. This time, no matter who it is, don't let Xiao Yi leave her room. Do you understand? Kitty Li blinked her cat-like eyes. Sister, you like that Shishang Lan too? Yi Qing Luo raised her brows, not understanding the meaning of her words. Kitty doesn't like him either. There was a scent on his body that made it hard for Kitty to get close to him. If it wasn't for big sister Xiao Yi insisting on coming to the garden, Kitty wouldn't even want to come. Kitty Li nodded vigorously. Then, she said pitifully, I wanted to tell you the first time I saw him. He had a disgusting smell on him, but he's Xiao Yi's fiancé, and he saved everyone, so I didn't dare to tell you. It's right now to say it. Yi Qing Luo pinched Kitty Li's little face. Our Kitty Li has grown up and knows how to consider problems. This is very good. Kitty Li's eyes lit up. That pair of bright and resplendent eyes sparkled brightly. I'm so happy to be praised by big sister. All right, let's go and accompany Xiao Yi first. They have already gone far away. Yi Qing Luo's eyes were filled with smiles as she patted Kitty Lee's shoulder and pointed to the front, towards the direction where the two figures had disappeared. Ah! Kitty Lee cried out, her small body moving agilely. In the blink of an eye, he was already dozens of meters away among the flowers. In the blink of an eye, the cat-like figure was as fast as lightning. He disappeared from Yi Qing Luo's vision. She retracted her gaze and stared at Xiao Jin. Have you calmed down now? Xiao Jin's face was extremely red and swollen. It made his already not-so-handsome face look even more comical. But now, Yi Qing Luo couldn't smile at all. Xiao Jin sat back down heavily on the stone block and turned his face away. You want to seek justice for Xiao Yi? I just want to ask you a few questions. Yi Qing Luo sat opposite him. She confessed to you, and it's fine if you reject her, but why did you still matchmake her with Shanglan? In this relationship with Yin Xiao Yi, Xiao Jin had always been weak and timid. Yi Qing Luo thought that Xiao Jin was timid and weak because he cared about Yin Xiao Yi. Yin Xiao Yi was nervous, so he couldn't bear to lose the chance to accompany Yin Xiao Yi. But now, Yin Xiao Yi had clearly expressed her feelings. Yin Xiao Yi had already taken a step forward. Logically speaking, Xiao Jin should not have any worries. However, the result was unexpected. I can't be with her. Xiao Jin's voice was tense as he enunciated each word. Her marriage to young master, she is the happiest thing for her. Happiness? You're not Xiao Yi, so on what basis do you conclude that it's happiness for her to be with Shanglan? Yi Qing Luo gave a cold sneer. Xiao Jin suddenly raised his head as he tried to explain with a flustered expression. But his thin lips trembled, and after stuttering for some time, he wasn't able to spit out any explanation. Chapter 1345. Xiao Jin was speechless. Yi Qing Luo continued to laugh coldly. Xiao Jin, I don't know what difficulties you have, and I don't want to know why you were able to give up Xiao Yi so calmly. But there's one point, please get it clear, Xiao Yi only likes you. She doesn't belong to you. You don't have the right to stop her from liking you, and you don't have the right to force her to be with someone else. Xiao Jin lowered his head in silence. After a long while, a voice filled with pain and helplessness lightly rang out. You're right. I was too selfish. He chuckled softly. It was the kind of bitter smile that made one's heart ache. I want to give up on Xiao Yi. My heart breaks just thinking about it. So, I want to see her marry Shanglan with my own eyes. As long as she gets married, I think I will definitely be able to give up. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips. Then, do you still feel that you can give up now? Silence replaced everything else. Yi Qing Luo didn't continue asking. She only stared quietly at Xiao Jin, at the droplets of water on his thigh. His heart inexplicably softened a little, as resolute as Xiao Jin. But at this moment, the man who was suffering from the pain shed his tears. He still loved Yin Xiao Yi. He loved Yin Xiao Yi very, very deeply. Loved to the point that even a man's tears fell. Why did he still reject Yin Xiao Yi? They loved each other, but the pain of love. Yi Qing Luo was unable to understand what this kind of love was. Perhaps I should be alone for a while. After a long time, the man with his head lowered choked with sobs. His muscles tensed and his fists clenched. Suppressing his intense emotions, he took a deep breath and said, Perhaps it's only when I'm alone that I can think about how I should choose. Ha! An ambiguous sneer interrupted Xiao Jin's words. Xiao Jin raised his eyes, and his bloodshot eyes looked towards Yi Qing Luo. But he saw Yi Qing Luo's lips curling into a sneer of disdain as her long and narrow eyes overflowed with a cold glint. After you've thought it through, I think, you might not be able to see Xiao Yi forever. What? Didn't you hear what Kitty Cat said? Yi Qing Luo sneered. Xiao Jin, she just said. Cats are beastmen. They have the blood and habits of ordinary cat beasts. Animals are the most intuitive to sense human emotions. Yi Qing Luo half supported her head and looked at him with a smile that didn't look like a smile. Xiao Jin's eyes suddenly widened. You mean, Xishang Lan and Xiao Yi are basically, not necessarily. Yiqing Luo shook her finger as her brows rose as she looked at Xiao Jin's worried look. Xishang Lan should like Xiao Yi, but, as compared to love, Xishang Lan should have a more important motive. No, impossible. How could he possibly make use of Xiao Yi? The expression on Xiao Jin's face changed unpredictably as the pain in his eyes grew unceasingly. Yiqing Luo sneered. What's impossible? If Xishang Lan really treated Xiao Yi as the most important person in his heart like what he said, how could he still smile at you politely and warmly when Xiao Yi said that she liked you? At least, DMO Xian would absolutely not. If it was DMO Xian, and he heard other men expressing a tiny bit of interest towards her, DMO Xian would absolutely announce in an overbearing manner that she, Yiqing Luo, was his DMO Xian's woman. When you really like someone, you would want to possess everything of the other party. Absolutely could not tolerate a single grain of sand. Like Xishang Lan, when he heard the woman whom he deeply loved said that she liked another man, he could still politely bid farewell to that man. Chapter 1346. Xiao Jin fell into silence again. He understood this feeling the most. When he saw Yin Xiao Yi calling Xishang Lan intimately, he was so jealous that he was about to go crazy. Seeing Yin Xiao Yi eat the fruit that Xishang Lan brought to her lips and smile gently at Xishang Lan, he was so jealous that he was about to go crazy. Looking at Yin Xiao Yi and Xishang Lan's similar smiles, that warm atmosphere made him want to rush forward and hug Yin Xiao Yi fiercely, but he couldn't. He was the one who had pushed Yin Xiao Yi to Xishang Lan. He was the one who had personally caused this outcome. He had no right to be jealous, no right to be crazy, just like what Yiqing Luo said. He also did not have the qualifications to decide Yin Xiao Yi's life. Xiao Jin did not feel such intense jealousy from Xishang Lan. Thinking back to what Kitty Li had just said, seeing Xiao Jin's expression turning increasingly steely green, Yiqing Luo shot him a faint glance. Finally understand. What you've pushed Xiao Yi into is the bottomless abyss, and not the so-called happiness. Why? Xiao Jin's throat was dry, and even breathing seemed so difficult and painful. I'm still investigating. Yiqing Luo replied calmly. Tonight we should be able to get the information from the Imperial Palace's investigation. But for now, I hope that you can control your own emotions and not alert the enemy. Xiao Jin's fists were tightly clenched as his well-built body trembled incessantly. She really thought that Xishang Lan would be Yin Xiao Yi's husband. However, he had neglected the most important matter. Now, you're alone, calm down. I'd like to see how quiet you can be. Yiqing Luo supported herself with one hand on the stone table. As she stood up, the corners of her lips curled up as she sneered. Women could empathize with this kind of pain the most. Her heart ached for Yin Xiao Yi. How much did she blame Xiao Jin? Yiqing Luo turned around and left the pavilion without looking back. At night, DMO Xian brought the results of his investigation on Xishang Lan. Xiao Jin also quietly came over. Yiqing Luo couldn't be bothered with him as she directly opened the parchment in her hands. All of Xishang Lan's information were recorded above. Yiqing Luo's gaze swiftly swept past those messages. The information was very comprehensive. Even the matter of Xishang Lan being kidnapped with Yin Xiao Yi when he was young was recorded in great detail. Only thing was, after Yiqing Luo spent 1 hour to finish reading all the information, she didn't discover anything unusual about Xishang Lan's identity or his recent whereabouts. Xishang Lan was indeed a gentle and refined young master. No matter who it was, he was always polite. He admired the second daughter of the Yin family wholeheartedly, and had spent a lot of effort to find out the whereabouts of the second daughter and to find out everything about the second daughter. If there was one thing that Xishang Lan, the gentle young master, did, that was to sneak into second young mistress' newly purchased residence and change the style of second young mistress residence to his own residence. This second miss was undoubtedly Yin Xiao Yi. From the information, not only was there nothing suspicious about Lan, but it also clearly indicated Lan truly loved Yin Xiaoyi. Everything that he did for Yin Xiaoyi was from the bottom of his heart, from the bottom of his heart. Yiqing Luo's brows creased, but before she could say a word, the parchment in her hands was snatched away by Qiao Jin. He stared at the words on the parchment as his breathing became hurried. Why couldn't he find any problem? How could he possibly really like Xiao? A contradictory man. One moment he accused Lan of using him. Chapter 1347. Yiqing Luo leaned lazily into Mo Xian's arms as she glanced sideways at Xiao Jin. Lan is sincere toward Xiao Yi. Isn't that what you wish for? Why this expression again? I'm not. Xiao Jin's arm stiffened as the paper in his hand fell onto the ground. His gaze was flustered as he didn't dare to look at Yiqing Luo's eyes. After racking his brains, he finally squeezed out an explanation. I feel that this information is too clean, so clean that it makes me suspect him even more. At least you haven't completely turned into a fool. Yiqing Luo's sleeves moved as she rolled up the paper on the ground. Her energy spread the paper flat on the table. Yiqing Luo propped her chin as she looked at Mo Xian with a smile, which didn't look like a smile. The Imperial Palace isn't safe anymore. This information was investigated by the Imperial Palace's disciples. But from the side presented in the information, Lan was a graceful young master with a perfect image. There weren't any blemishes on him. Or perhaps, in everyone's eyes, Lan was indeed the image presented in the information. Impossible. No one was perfect. Even if it was her, if the Imperial Palace really investigated, they would be able to find many blemishes on her or some unknown matters. Lan's information was too clean. Just like what Xiao Jin said, clean made people even more suspicious. It's not the Imperial Palace's problem. Mo Xian's body leaned forward slightly as his scorching hot chest stuck onto Yiqing Luo's soft body. His chin rested on Yiqing Luo's shoulder. The image which Lan presented to the public is exactly as the information shows. Can a person really be so perfect? Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she looked sideways at the man beside her. The distance between them was very close. Mo Xian's head was resting on her shoulder. Yiqing Luo's eyes. Her pink lips were imprinted on the side of Mo Xian's face. Mo Xian's brows arched as his peach blossom eyes were overflowing with color as he smiled. Lil Luo is so anxious. The touch on her lips was warm and silky smooth. A man actually had such a good skin. It even brought along his elegant sandalwood scent. Yiqing Luo's face flushed red as she moved her lips away and retreated backwards as she rolled her eyes at him. Stop fooling around. Mo Xian indeed stopped messing around. But Yiqing Luo could clearly hear the man's low and hoarse laughter from time to time, laughing till Yiqing Luo's cheeks were burning hot. Your Majesty, what do you mean? Qiao Jin seemed to be unable to endure the lovey-dovey scene in front of him. He shifted his gaze away rather unnaturally, changing the topic as he asked. He wanted to just leave the room. He didn't want to disturb Mo Xian and Yiqing Luo's sweet moment. He also didn't want to see such a sweet scene. Such a scene was like a silver needle, ruthlessly stabbing into his heart. His mind was filled with Yin Xiaoyi's exquisite face. But he couldn't leave. This matter concerned Yin Xiaoyi. No matter what, he had to find out the truth. If Lan was really using Yin Xiaoyi and deceiving her, he would kill Lan before Yin Xiaoyi found out. We still need to investigate. Mo Xian replied calmly. This sovereign can ascertain that the Imperial Palace would not falsify this information, but how could Lan be so clean? His voice paused as his long and narrow peach blossom eyes squinted slightly as a biting cold arc flashed past. Behind him, there must be a force that can go against the Imperial Palace. Dark forces? Yiqing Luo blurted out. Chapter 1348. To tell the truth, Yiqing Luo didn't think that Lan was related to the dark forces. Such a gentle and graceful young master, with such a good image to the outside world. Totally not in line with the dark forces style. Furthermore, Lan pursued Yin Shao Yi relentlessly and secretly investigated Yin Shao Yi. Furthermore, he changed his own courtyard into the exact same style as Yin Shao Yi's old residence. Wasn't it because they had been kidnapped when they were young? Hence Lan started to like Yin Shao Yi? But now, knowing that Yin Shao Yi was a member of the World Group, a student of Devil Class, Lan started to have a man's ambition and goal. Yiqing Luo had always thought so. But now, hearing what DMO Xian said, she couldn't help but felt a chill down her spine. The Dark Force's goal. It had always been her. They needed her profound jade heart to unlock the other seals on the vast water god relic. They needed her body to bear the burden of the profound jade heart. Although Yiqing Luo wasn't clear why the Dark Forces needed the god relic and her profound jade heart, but the only thing she could confirm was to awaken the King of Darkness. The key to unlock the King of Darkness was not only the cultivator's soul. It also required powerful strength, powerful, profound energy. Lan was a member of the Dark Forces. Then, how did he know that a few years ago, Yin Shao Yi would be acquainted with him in the future, and specially forged into such a gentle young master image? No matter how exquisite a person's acting is, they will eventually give themselves away. Let's not beat the grass and alert the snake first. Let's secretly investigate the actual situation. DMO Xian brushed a lock of Yiqing Luo's hair as he said calmly, "The Imperial Palace will investigate. No need to be anxious." Hearing DMO Xian's words, Yiqing Luo's anxiousness slowly dissipated. She nodded and responded softly, as long as DMO Xian helped, no matter how big the matter was, it could be settled. Her man was that incredible. Yiqing Luo looked at Xiao Jin as she instructed, "Jin Z, no matter what you are thinking now, maintain your original attitude. We are now living under someone else's roof, and our brother's injuries have yet to recover. The minute you act rashly, it will affect all our brothers." She understood Xiao Jin's character. After knowing that Lan had an ulterior motive for getting close to Yin Shao Yi, Xiao Jin wouldn't be able to restrain himself. After knowing that Lan was related to the Dark Forces, Xiao Jin even wanted to kill Lan. He could have such thoughts, but definitely not now. Since Lan approached them with a purpose, why didn't they directly use Lan's wealth and power to heal their brother's injuries? Lan was in charge of herbs and manpower. Since Lan Prefecture was so shrewd, it meant that they weren't stupid, knowing that the ghost doctor, and the saint thief were there. Lan would definitely not dare to tamper with the medicinal ingredients. Xiao Jin's stiff body suddenly tensed up, a pair of deep dark eyes fixed on Yiqing Luo. After a while, he pursed his thin lips and spat out a word unwillingly in. Then, he turned around and left the room. Seeing Xiao Jin's reaction, Yiqing Luo knew that this fellow indeed wanted to take action against Lan directly. When it came to Yin Shao Yi's matters, Xiao Jin's brain didn't know how to work. Since he liked her so much, why did he use such a method to push her away? Yiqing Luo looked at the tightly shut door and sighed silently. Chapter 1349. DMO Xian's large palm encircled her waist, as his rosy lips slowly moved closer to hers. The kiss landed, but Yiqing Luo turned her head away, avoiding it. Yiqing Luo felt the hand on her waist, slightly exerting some force. Yiqing Luo pretended not to notice. Her slender brows raised frivolously as her slender long fingers gently caressed DMO Xian's lips. Her charming eyes were filled with smiles, as her tone was gentle. "If you don't say it. This mouth of yours, don't even think of getting close to me." The man who was sticking close to her suddenly stiffened. The muscles in front of his chest became stiff. That arm on her waist also stiffened. DMO Xian's reaction successfully pleased Yi-Ching Luo. Her dimples bloomed as her fingers wantonly teased his lips, his face, and finally landed on his chest, playing with his lapel. Slender fingers as white as jade. Even through his clothes, DMO Xian could clearly feel the temperature of her fingertips. Little Luo, feel that the fire on your body is not strong enough. DMO Xian's voice was hoarse as he encircled her waist tightly, sticking close to his body. Yi-Ching Luo obviously felt. Her face turned red. As she was still in her menstrual period, her mouth refused to let him off. Then, "Are you willing to say it?" DMO Xian suddenly stretched out his hand as he hugged her horizontally in his arms. Following that, he went directly to the bed at the side. Wait. It couldn't be. He couldn't really be aroused by her and wanted to force himself on her. Her body was thrown onto the soft bed. Yi-Ching Luo subconsciously shrank backwards as she was about to turn over and get off the bed. A boiling hot body directly suppressed her desire to escape. Hey, DMO Xian. Don't be like this. Yi-Ching Luo fluttered her limbs, refusing to give in obediently. Don't think of using this method to divert the topic. If you don't tell me today, I will pester you tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. I will pester you to ask. I will pester you to ask. I will keep pestering you to ask. After DMO Xian pressed her onto the bed, he turned over and landed beside her. One arm encircled her into his embrace. Yi-Ching Luo's struggles and roars also gradually ceased. Lying on his chest, Yi-Ching Luo cursed DMO Xian's domineering CEO aura. Even her beauty couldn't make DMO Xian opened his mouth. Would he still want to kiss her in the future? Did he still want to get married? Little emotions started to grow as Yi-Ching Luo raised her head and stared at DMO Xian. Before he could say anything, his lips were covered by a warm sensation. The elegant scent of sandalwood seeped into her nose. His kiss landed on her lips. He kissed her extremely gently and meticulously. Between his lips and teeth, he said in an extremely soft and hoarse voice, "Keep pestering me." Oh. Yi-Ching Luo had just opened her mouth, but it gave DMO Xian the chance to take advantage of the situation. The gentle and delicate kiss turned into a lingering kiss. The days on the surface passed peacefully. Before he knew it, half a month had passed. All the youths were able to get out of bed and walk around, doing some simple rehabilitation exercises. There were even 10 over youngsters whose injuries had completely recovered. All these made Yi-Ching Luo's uneasy heart to ease up slightly. But there was another point which made Yi-Ching Luo apprehensive was the relationship between these youngsters and Shi Shanglan was getting better and better. In this half a month's time, Shi Shanglan had really displayed that kind of warm and polite, graceful and gentle young master image to the fullest. He was able to take good care of all the students in the devil class. Chapter 1350. This brainwashing ability made even Yi-Ching Luo gasp in amazement. However, there was no concrete evidence after all. Yi-Ching Luo was unable to directly let the youngsters in devil class maintain their relationship with Shi Shanglan. Otherwise, with Shi Shanglan's intelligence, he could easily sense that she was suspicious of him. Today, Yi-Ching Luo intended to bring up the matter of leaving the Shi family's residence and return to the academy. As soon as he arrived at the main hall of the residence, he could hear the sounds of laughter coming from within. Looking at her brothers and Shi Shanglan chatting happily in the main hall, Yi-Ching Luo sighed softly. "Don't you like him?" Suddenly, an extremely low voice came from behind. It was Yin Xiaoyi. She wore an aqua blue dress, and her hair was simple, which made her look even more intelligent and beautiful. Under Shi Shanglan's meticulous care, her injuries had already healed. Her delicate little face was no longer sickly pale. Yin Xiaoyi walked to Yi-Ching Luo's side and stopped in her tracks. Using a voice which only the both of them could hear, I can tell that your attitude towards him is very distant. What about you? Have you decided to be with him or miss him? Yiqing Luo pointed out. Yin Xiaoyi's expression congealed slightly, and several breaths later, her beautiful eyes met Yiqing Luo's eyes calmly. No. These two words were considered as a reply to Yiqing Luo's two questions. He didn't decide to be with Shi Shanglan. He didn't think about Xiao Jin either. Xiao Jin had disappeared ever since he had obtained Shi Shanglan's investigation information. It was as if he had vanished in a thin air. No one knew where he had gone. Yiqing Luo had asked DMO Xin before, but DMO Xin only caressed her fine black hair as he replied calmly, "If he wants to come back, he will naturally appear." Apparently, DMO Xin knew where Xiao Jin had gone to, but he wasn't going to tell her. It was as if he did not intend to tell her Xiao Jin's identity. Yiqing Luo held Yin Xiaoyi's hand as her lips curled slightly. "Let's go." The two of them walked side by side into the hall. The clamor came to an abrupt end. The youths, who had been lazing around, stood up straight in an instant. They were excited as they looked at Yiqing Luo respectfully. Yiqing Luo was stunned as she was puzzled by their sudden respect. Just as he was about to speak, a soft body pressed against his back. It rubbed its furry little head against her bosom. "Big sister." Kitty Li moved her head to her shoulder and said, "It's that Shi Shanglan. He said that he wanted you to see everyone in high spirits, so he wanted everyone to show their best attitude to welcome you." Although these words sounded as if he was thinking for her, she wanted to make sure that her brothers had recovered from their injuries. To make her feel more at ease, but why did Yiqing Luo feel? Had he become an outsider? The words "welcome her" sounded particularly awkward to his ears. Every day, she and the ghost doctor would personally take everyone's pulse. No one knew better than she did, so she was naturally at ease. Moreover, with the relationship between her and her brothers, it did not seem worthwhile for them to stop laughing and joking when they saw her, right? This wasn't a training ground. Yiqing Luo's heart was inexplicably flustered, but she didn't show it on her face. "Why are you all so restrained? Everyone, please sit down." Yiqing Luo smiled as she held Kitty Li in one hand and Yin Xiao Yi in the other, walking towards Shi Shanglan's direction. Shi Shanglan immediately went forward as he looked at Yin Xiao Yi warmly. "My apologies, I was too engrossed in chatting with everyone and forgot to fetch you." Chapter 1351. Shi Shanglan was slightly stunned. Soon after, he very quickly revealed a smile and walked to Yin Xiaoyi's side, saying in a warm voice, "I am also worried about you. Your body has only just recovered, and you still have to pay more attention. Don't leave a lingering illness in the future." The surrounding youths all revealed ambiguous and teasing expressions. This kind of expression was something that Yin Xiao Yi and Yiqing Luo were used to. Shi Shanglan would not let go of any chance to flirt with girls and show off their affection. The youths were already used to this kind of blinding love. Yin Xiao Yi nodded lightly. "I know what I'm doing." Saying that, his gaze went past Shi Shanglan and looked at Yiqing Luo, who was sitting by the side. "Qing Luo, don't you have something to tell everyone?" Yin Xiao Yi's words immediately diverted everyone's attention. The youngsters looked at Yiqing Luo respectfully, waiting for her words. Such a phenomenon was not unheard of. On the training grounds, Yiqing Luo's demands were extremely strict, treating all the students as soldiers in training. Therefore, there were many rules. However, this was not a training ground. If it was in the past, these youngsters would have started talking at once, asking Yiqing Luo what she wanted to talk about. This feeling. It was as if she was the instructor that the students looked up to, the vice captain that they worshipped from the bottom of their hearts. That was all. Yiqing Luo's brows furrowed slightly as she squinted her eyes and looked at Shi Shanglan in displeasure. Did he brainwash them again? This man, what exactly did he say to these youths? What was he trying to do? What's the matter? Shi Shanglan noticed Yiqing Luo's gaze as he smiled warmly and asked. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into an elegant smile without any flaws. His gaze swept across the hall with deep meaning as he spoke casually. Young master, Shi's relationship with my brothers in the world group isn't bad. They are all very sincere and decisive. I like interacting with people like that. Shi Shanglan nodded sincerely. The youth scratched their heads in embarrassment. Young master, she is too kind. Young master, she is the one with a gentle temperament. He is also very gentle to us. Yes, it's all thanks to young master Shi that we could recover so quickly. It's our good fortune to know young master Shi. Voices of thanks filled the entire hall in an instant. Yiqing Luo felt suffocated. When she spoke, these people were like mutes. Although they still respected him, they still idolized him. But there was something missing. Yet, the moment Shi Shanglan spoke, it was as if the mute acupoints of this group of youths were unlocked. It was not difficult to see the respect and gratitude in the eyes of these youths towards Shi Shanglan. Yiqing Luo had to admit, she was jealous, and now, the desire in his heart was roaring and rushing. What AF * King Husky? I plan to return to the academy. Yiqing Luo raised her voice, suppressing all the youngsters' voices. The voices in the surroundings stopped abruptly once more. Shi Shanglan's calm expression changed slightly. Why is Lady Yi going back to the academy? Could it be that I did not take good care of him? If there's anything inappropriate, Yi, it's just that you're too considerate. Yiqing Luo unhappily interrupted Shi Shanglan's words. No matter what Shi Shanglan's motive was, Yiqing Luo only had one feeling now. She was jealous, and she was extremely jealous. Before these youngsters met Shi Shanglan, they had obviously treated her, Long Yunjian, and the others as the bright lights in their hearts. Now, this bright light had become Shi Shanglan. Chapter 1352. But the minute she said that, Yiqing Luo realized that her emotions were too extreme. The puzzled and astonished gazes from all around fell on her. Yiqing Luo coughed dryly as the smile on her lips bloomed even more brilliantly. It's because you took care of them, so all our brothers' bodies have recovered. I only applied for half a month's leave from the academy. Now that our brothers' injuries have recovered, it's time for us to return to the academy. Shi Shanglan's stiff expression then turned gentle. That's true. After all, they are students. Now I'm here to bid farewell to you. Yiqing Luo stood up and cupped her fists. Thank you, young master Shi, for taking care of me and Chief these few days. If there's a chance, Yiqing Luo, will definitely repay you. It's nothing. It's not worth mentioning. Shi Shanglan returned the greeting as he waved his hand. You and I are friends. There's no need to thank me. Yiqing Luo only smiled. Shi Shanglan continued. Are we going back to the academy now? Isn't a little too rushed. It's better to stay for another night and have a good rest before returning to the academy. Devil class is this batch's champion class. These few days, everyone has been bettered in recuperating and their training has been neglected. If we don't put in more effort, we will be surpassed by others very soon. Yiqing Luo smiled as she shook her head. While everyone is improving, don't forget that the others are also working hard to improve. The youngster's expressions instantly congealed. Shi Shanglan didn't continue to dissuade her. The group of people left Shi family's residence in a grandiose manner. Yiqing Luo felt that something was amiss. Shi Shanglan let them leave so easily. Wasn't it a little too simple? Moreover, she had been observing Shi Shanglan's expression and gaze. She realized that other than Yin Xiaoyi's gaze, which was filled with reluctance, Shi Shanglan had always warmly bid farewell to the others, as there was nothing unusual. Could it be that her feeling was really wrong? This Shi Shanglan was actually an out-and-out good person? Yiqing Luo had been on tenterhooks until they reached the street, which was 100 meters away from Shi family's residence. For example, no one had appeared to stop them from leaving the residence. She released her senses as she vigilantly sensed the surrounding atmosphere. She didn't discover anything. The instant Shi Shanglan, who had watched them leave, turned around, a figure appeared. His slender body suddenly stiffened. If one took a closer look, one would notice that his body was trembling slightly. After that, His warm and refined eyes were replaced by a pair of gloomy, ruthless, and evil eyes. His gentle face revealed an evil coldness that was completely different from usual. However, in the next instant, that expression disappeared in a flash. Xishang Lan's trembling body staggered, and he actually half-knelt on the ground. A servant hurriedly held onto Xishang Lan's arm. "Eldest young master, what happened to you?" Xishang Lan waved his hand and forced himself to stand up. He kept his head down as he walked into the mansion. His excessively long black hair covered his eyes. The wind blew, messing up her hair. Vaguely, a pair of eyes that made one's hair stand on end. One was as gentle as jade. One was sinister and cold. Heavenly Academy. When Yiqing Luo and the rest arrived at the academy, the master who was guarding at the entrance came forward to welcome them. "Student Yi, you are finally here." Chapter 1353. The master said with a smile, "In this inter-class competition, the Devil class won first place. The students of the other classes have all made your class their goal to strive for. Recently, many students have been clamoring to see you." The headmaster excitedly talked about the recent changes in the academy. Although the headmaster was very excited, but Yiqing Luo still understood very well. Those so-called students did not really treat her as a goal to strive for. But Devil class, who had always been thought to be forgotten by everyone, was like a dark horse, snatching away the glory that should have belonged to them in front of everyone. If this honor had been won by High Profound Class 2 or the Class of Gods, then it would have been fine. Yet, it was a class of trash that everyone looked down on had been snatched away. Wouldn't the world be laughing at them, the Heavenly Academy's students, for being so useless that they couldn't even win the trash from the waste class? He didn't want to be looked down upon. He was unwilling to admit defeat. Because of this, these students have been working hard recently to cooperate with the headmaster's lessons, rather than saying that the Devil class was the goal they were striving for. Rather, it could be said that they wanted to wash away their shame. However, no matter what those students' motives were, it had nothing to do with her. Along the way, he learned about the recent changes in the academy from the headmaster. For example, according to the upcoming inter-class competition, the academy had rearranged the classes based on their performances in the Upper Mystical Pagoda. The previous High Profound Class 2 was demoted to Intermediate Class 2, and Low Profound Class 2 was upgraded to High Profound Class 1. High Profound Class 1 was demoted to Intermediate Class 1 because Intermediate Profound Class 2 Shangwan Liuli had colluded with the dark forces and cheated in public. In order to avoid arousing suspicion, the dean decisively disqualified the Intermediate Profound Class 2 students from the competition and ordered all the students to leave the academy. Hence, the entire class of Intermediate Profound Class 2 students were forced to leave. Because of this, the students of Low Profound Class 1 followed their performance in the competition. More than 300 students were divided into Low Profound Class 1 and Low Profound Class 2. Devil class was directly promoted to High Profound Class 2. When Yiqing Luo heard the news of Devil class becoming High Profound Class 2, she was momentarily stunned. Such a lame name, it was better for her to refuse the class upgrade this time. It was time for class. Along the way, there were only a few teachers passing by. Yiqing Luo obediently greeted her. When they passed by the library pavilion, the librarian stood at the entrance, and when he saw Yiqing Luo, he gave her a thumbs up. Yiqing Luo smiled at him, although the two of them did not speak. But Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly felt warm. In this academy, there were at least a few people who truly cared about her and praised her sincerely. She was not a complete failure as a person. "Classmate Yi." Suddenly, a clear voice came from behind. A tall and slender figure walked out of the library pavilion. His green and white robe made him look even more heroic. Seeing Yiqing Luo, his smile deepened. "I haven't congratulated you for obtaining the championship of the interclass competition." Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly as her lips curled into a smile. "Thank you, class monitor." This person was precisely Intermediate Profound Class 2's class monitor, Xie. He was also that Xie who had once issued a challenge to her on the second floor of a library collection pavilion, requesting for Devil Class to participate in the inter-class competition. However, weren't the students from Intermediate Profound Class 2 expelled from the academy by the dean? Even Xiao Yu, that child, had not seen her again. But now Xie Yin had appeared here. Chapter 1354. This thought made Yiqing Luo's heart tighten. Ever since the Intermediate Profound Class 2 was forced to leave the academy, Yiqing Luo specially went to look for Lu Xiaoyu. But because the Intermediate Profound Class 2 was forced to leave, they couldn't enter the arena to watch the competition. Because of this, when Yiqing Luo went to look for Lu Xiaoyu after the competition, she had already left the West Square. She was still thinking of ways to get Lu Xiaoyu to join Devil Class after she returned to the academy. Xie Yin had now appeared in the academy. Lu Xiaoyu would also have a chance to come back. I'm no longer the class monitor. Just call me Xie Yin in future. Xie Yin waved his hand and smiled. I'm now still a student of the Intermediate Profound Class 2. If student Yi needs anything in future, feel free to look for me in the Intermediate Profound Class 2. Yiqing Luo's eyes lit up. Indeed, Xie Yin had returned to the academy. She went forward and stared at Xie Yin with her charming eyes. The original Intermediate Profound Class 2 students, what's the chance to return to the academy? Student Yi still doesn't know? Xie Yin raised his brows in surprise. Suddenly, he recalled that the Devil Class had not appeared in the academy for half a month. He explained, on the day of the competition, Shangguan Luli colluded with the dark forces to cheat, causing the director to fly into a rage and forced all the students to leave the Intermediate Profound Class 2. But after that, the headquarters fought for the opportunity to return to the academy for the other innocent and ignorant students. After all, there were nearly 400 students in the Intermediate Profound Class 2. Among these 400 students, there were many young masters from other continents who came for lessons, and there were also people from various forces. Because of Shangguan Liuli, so many students had suffered because of her. How could the families of these students let it go so easily? Hence, one by one, the forces found trouble with the Shangguan family. But this Shangguan family, ever since they were removed from the four great profound families, they disappeared from the eyes of the world. No forces had found the whereabouts of the Shangguan family. Since they couldn't find the Shangguan family, these forces naturally went to the academy and the headquarters. They needed the academy or the headquarters to give an explanation to these innocent students. The General Hospital also felt that this move had accidentally hurt too many good students who were positive and motivated. Hence, they held a general meeting to fight for the opportunity for those original Intermediate Profound Class 2 students to return to the academy. That was, students who wanted to return to the academy had to go through the inspection of the head elder. As long as a student came into contact with the mysterious Yin Shi, not only would they be unable to return to the academy, but they would also be locked up by the headquarters and interrogated. As for those who were clean, they could be reassigned to various classes according to their performance in the academy. When Yiqing Luo heard that, her face revealed a smile. Many thanks to the class. Student Xie for clearing my doubts. I'll return to the Devil Class with the other students first. Let's chat again when we have time in the future. Devil Class? Xie Yin squinted his eyes. After the adjustment of the academy, the Devil Class has been promoted to High Profound Class 2. The direction of your class should be changed to High Profound Class 2. Yiqing Luo seemed to have thought of something. Does student Xie still remember the promise that we had made? Devil Class will participate in the inter-class competition. If we win, we will agree to a request from Devil Class. Xie Yin did not hesitate at all as he stated out the promise that they had made previously. Yiqing Luo nodded. Yes, now that Devil Class has obtained victory then, I should enjoy the freedom of Devil Class, right? Chapter 1355. That's right. I request to retain the devil class. Yiqing Luo's lips rose slightly as she gazed into Xie Yan's eyes. Devil class is devil class. There's no need for any changes. We like the atmosphere of devil class, like everything about devil class. Xie Yan was slightly stunned. Following that, he nodded his head with a light smile. I understand. I will apply to the director and the elders' quarters for this matter. Thank you, student Xie. Yiqing Luo thanked him calmly. The two of them exchanged some conventional greetings, and Yiqing Luo led the majestic group of people towards the direction of Devil Class. When they reached the entrance of Devil Class's courtyard, Yiqing Luo and the rest were stunned. Every class was a large courtyard. The courtyard was split into the front courtyard, rear courtyard, as well as the resting quarters and the school hall. In the past, Devil Class's courtyard entrance was filled with chilly wind and branches. No matter how one looked at it, it was eerie. No matter how one looked at it, it was cold. For 10 days to half a month, there wasn't a single person who got close to Devil Class. Basically, they had already treated Devil Class as though it didn't exist. If it wasn't for the fact that Yiqing Luo had entered the academy and was allocated to Devil Class, probably until now, none of the students had recalled that their academy still had the existence of Devil Class. And at this moment, the entire courtyard's entrance was so clean that there wasn't a single speck of dust. Apparently, it had been meticulously cleaned. Yiqing Luo turned back and exchanged glances with those students behind her. Could it be that they had entered the wrong class? But the class at the corner of the academy was only Devil Class? Yiqing Luo took the lead and walked into Devil Class. Devil Class's outer courtyard was also clean and tidy. Verdant trees were planted all around, as well as beautiful blooming flowers. It didn't look like a class's outer courtyard, but more like a garden. Someone had entered their Devil Class. Then, the training inside had been completed had they entered. Devil Class's outer courtyard was originally for those students and teachers to watch. But after the outer courtyard, after the second door, it was a completely different world. Because of this, the second door, they had set up an array, and the door had been tainted with Bei Ming Lu's poison. Those people, could they enter the second door? Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes as she speedily pushed open the second door. Behind the second door, there were messy handkerchiefs and weapons strewn all over the floor. He finally heaved a sigh of relief. This place was a secret belonging to their Devil Class. It was Long Yunjian who used his ability to build a training ground for the students of Devil Class. She did not wish for anyone outside of the Devil Class to enter the Devil Class, this territory that belonged to them. Those people only swept the outer courtyard and the entrance of Devil Class, but did not enter the second courtyard door. The group of them returned to the Devil Class and instantly felt as though they had returned to their own home. Looking at the familiar training, the familiar place, the familiar smell. The youths all cheered and rushed into the training ground. The news of the return of the Devil Class students had spread throughout the entire academy in just a short while. As a result, after class, those students flocked towards the direction of the Devil Class. Although these students had personally witnessed Yiqing Luo's power in the interclass competition, witnessing Devil Class obtaining the final victory. But after returning to the academy, they still found it hard to calm down. He was unable to accept that his own class actually lost to the Devil Class. Look, all the students in the Devil Class had applied for half a month's leave to recuperate. It was rumored that because they had participated in the interclass competition with injuries, resulting in serious injuries after the competition. Chapter 1356. Towards Devil Class. They were unable to accept the fact that Devil Class had won, but inexplicably, a sense of reverence towards Devil Class arose. In the Nirvana realm, the stronger one's ability was no matter if you had committed murder or arson or heinous crimes. As long as you were strong enough, the world would bow down to you. The idea of the strong being respected had long been ingrained in the hearts of the people. Obtaining the champion of the interclass competition, and with her own strength, she defeated the #1 beauty, Qian, who had a legendary staff. No one dared to doubt Yiqing Luo's power. Yiqing Luo called out to the students as she was tidying up the training grounds and the classroom, which she had not been back for half a month. Suddenly, they heard a commotion outside the courtyard. Initially, they thought the other classes had ended, so they came over to take a stroll. But the commotion outside was obviously getting more and more lively, and the number of people was increasing. Yiqing Luo and Long Yunzhan exchanged glances and roughly understood that those students outside must have heard that their devil class students had returned to the academy. They especially came over to watch, either to watch a joke or to hug their thighs. What are you waiting for? Go, go, go. Follow me out. Old man Guiyu scurried out from a corner, one hand holding Yiqing Luo's arm and the other hand tugged Long Yunzhan's collar as he pulled him out of the courtyard. Teacher Guiyu. Yiqing Luo staggered a few steps as she followed behind Old Man Guiyu. She noticed that Old Man Guiyu's usual loose teacher's white robe was now neatly worn on his body, and the belt was neatly fastened. His hair, which used to be messy like withered grass, was now neatly tied into the headmaster's hair. She wanted to struggle with her behavior, but stopped. Being pulled by Old Man Guiyu, the students behind him also followed suit. And so, dozens of students walked to the outer court in a mighty manner. The outer courtyard was packed with people. There were at least 300 over students crowding around here. When they saw Yiqing Luo and the rest coming out, their faces revealed a surprised expression. Old Man Guiyu walked right in front and stood in front of the students as he raised his hand, indicating for everyone to quieten down. He cleared his throat and spoke in a rare, steady voice. Cough. Fellow students, you must be here to see the class which won first place in this year's interclass competition, Devil Class. The students feared Old Man Guiyu. As soon as Old Man Guiyu appeared, the noisy scene fell into silence. Those students' gazes continued to shoot towards Yiqing Luo and the others. All right. If you have anything to say, just say it. The Devil Class students will try their best to answer your questions. Seeing that the situation was under control, Old Man Guiyu stepped aside. When he returned to the academy, he would have to face this group of students sooner or later. As the Dark Horse, their Devil Class had obtained the final victory. To these students who were used to being arrogant, it was indeed a blow. Devil Class had used their actions to prove to all the classes, teachers, and elders in the Heavenly Academy. They, the Devil Class, were not trash. Since he wasn't trash, why didn't the Academy notice anything at all? Could it be? Was it after Yiqing Luo entered Devil Class? In a short span of 3 to 4 months, she managed to train that bunch of ridiculing trash into top experts? From Yiqing Luo, they could see numerous miracles. 20% of the students actually believed this guess. Student Yiqing Luo, how do you feel about becoming the class leader? Student Yiqing Luo, how did you improve so quickly? When you just entered the academy, you were still a yellow, profound cultivator. Chapter 1357. Countless questions were thrown out one after another. The students were fearful, and, at the same time, unwilling. After all, these students in front of them were once dogs in their eyes. They were trash that could be bullied by anyone. However, at this moment, they were standing perfectly straight. Their youthful faces revealed expressions that were completely different from the laziness they had in the past. Their eyes were like torches. Facing the hundreds of questions, they did not show any signs of panic. On the contrary, they were calm and composed, causing people to involuntarily be intimidated by the aura they emitted. Was this still the Devil Class that they knew? Was this still the Devil Class students that they saw on the stage of the interclass competition? Wait, you are not students of Devil Class. Suddenly, someone in the crowd shouted, interrupting the fear and respect they had for the strong. The students looked towards the direction of the voice. The crowd dispersed, revealing a slender figure. It's High Profound Class 2. Oh no, it's student Yanjun Fei from Intermediate Profound Class 2. What did she say? They're not students of Devil class? What does that mean? Student Yin Jun Fei. What do you know? Can you tell us? When countless students saw Yin Jun Fei, their gossipy hearts surged. Yin Jun Fei was originally a student of High Profound Class 2. In this inter-class competition, the original High Profound Class 2 was miserably abused by Devil class. The good name of High Profound Class 2 was completely reduced to a joke in this competition. Especially now, the students of High Profound Class 2 had been demoted to Intermediate Profound Class 2. Not mentioning the name of Intermediate Profound Class 2, because of Shangwan Liuli, it caused everyone to think of the dark forces when Intermediate Profound Class 2 was mentioned. Just like the students of High Profound Class 2, the elite students who were extremely talented and had a high status in the academy. But they had been demoted by 2 classes. The current High Profound Class 1 was the previous Low Profound Class 2, which meant, in the hearts of the academy and the headquarters, the original High Profound Class 2 students were not even comparable to the original Low Profound Class 2. The original High Profound Class 2, the current Intermediate Profound Class 2 students, must hate Devil class to the core. Yin Jun Fei now stood out and pointed out the students of Devil class. It would be a great show. Yin Jun Fei walked past the crowd and directly stood in front of the students as she raised her head and stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo. Those people behind you are not students from Devil class. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as her lips curled into a smile, which didn't look like a smile. Yin Jun Fei's heart trembled at her smile, and she instinctively took a step back. But he heard Yiqing Luo's smiling voice ringing. Student Yin Jun Fei, our Devil class isn't a place where you can make irresponsible remarks. If student Yin Jun Fei feels that the taste on the arena stage isn't enough, I don't mind letting you relive it once more. He was obviously smiling. That voice was clearly extremely sweet. However, it gave off an extremely cold intent. It was that kind of a chill that seemed to seep into one's bones. Yin Jun Fei recalled Yiqing Luo's arrogant look a few days ago at the Shi family's residence. She hated Yiqing Luo. Yin Jun Fei forcefully suppressed the fear in her heart as her lips trembled slightly. You don't think that we're all idiots. I'll only ask you one question. Are Devil classes students from the newly risen the World Mercenary Group? Mentioning the World Group, this was the guess of many students. Chapter 1358. Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she didn't intend to hide it. Yes. The crowd went into an uproar. Indeed, Devil classes students were the World Mercenary Group. The students present were roughly between 15 to 25 years old. This year's youngsters loved to find out about various forces' news, so that they could make plans for their future after they graduated from the academy. The Mercenary Association, they would more or less pay attention to it. The rise of the World Mercenary Group could be said to be the Mercenary Association's historical speed. The missions they took on were those bronze or even silver plate mercenary groups might not be able to complete. But unfortunately, a newly established 60-over-man group, the World Group, was able to complete those missions without any losses. Devil classes students were the members of the World Group. That meant to say, 3 months ago, Devil classes students already had enough ability to complete those missions. That meant to say, Devil classes students were actually not trash. When the World Group was established, Yiqing Luo had just entered Devil class for less than a month. 1 month. No matter how heaven-defying Yiqing Luo was, or how she created miracles, it was impossible to train a bunch of trash into dregs in such a short period of time, to the extent that they were able to take on high-grade mercenary group missions. The gazes that the students used to look at the Devil class were filled with respect and admiration. Yin Jun Fei looked at the other students' reactions as she silently clenched her teeth. She had not expected her question to make these people revere Devil class even more. A bunch of slow-witted fools. They deserved to be suppressed by Devil class in interclass competition till they had no way to retaliate. These people, They are not devil classes students at all. Yin Junfei pointed angrily at the rows of youngsters behind Yi Qing Luo. They are the Imperial Palace's disciples. They are the World Group's members, intentionally pretending to be devil classes students to take part in the interclass competition. His tone was firm, and his accusation was righteous. It made the students present instantly quieten down. Not devil classes students, Imperial Palace's disciples, pretending to be devil classes students. The amount of information was too huge. Their hearts almost couldn't take it. I've investigated devil classes information and also found some information about devil classes students from the faculty council. Yin Junfei arrogantly raised her head as her lips curled into a cold smile. The atmosphere remained silent. The students were still immersed in Yin Junfei's words. Devil classes students saw that Yi Qing Luo didn't say a word, so they also didn't say a word. Yin Junfei only thought that Yi Qing Luo had a guilty conscience and was unable to refute. Hence he became even more arrogant. The existence of the devil class has already lasted for as long as 5 years. And in these 5 years, the number of students who entered the devil class every year did not exceed 10. Ever since a year ago, the students of the devil class had completely faded out of everyone's sight, and no one remembers the devil class. Which is to say, in our academy, even if they walk out like this, we might not be able to recognize them, whether they're really devil class students or not. After all, we have never paid special attention to unimportant people. It's just that coincidentally, from the faculty council, I found the portraits of every student who entered the devil class. Portrait? The silent students looked at each other. Yin Junfei had seen the portraits before. Hence, she was sure that these people were not students from the devil class. In other words, Chapter 1359. Yes, that's right. These people, and the people in the portraits, look totally different. Yin Junfei placed her hands behind her back as she straightened her back and gave a complacent smile. These people are all fake. They were not students of the devil class at all. As a member of the faculty council, I have the right to seal devil class and hand it over to the director to deal with. When the students heard such righteous words, the worship and reverence in their eyes were replaced by humiliation and deception. These people seemed to have forgotten. In the interclass competition, Yi Qing Luo's outstanding performance. Shangwan Li cheated and was forced to leave the academy. Yi Qing Luo, you actually cheated everyone's feelings and cheated in the interclass competition. If you're not expelled from the academy and fulfill the blood oath with Shangwan Li, we will absolutely not let you off. Even if you're an Imperial Palace's disciple, cheating is cheating and you must be punished severely. That's right. We lost the competition because of people like you who like to cheat, spoiling the balance of our competition. One by one, the voices of accusation were filled with extreme anger. That scolding voice seemed as though they wanted to tear Yi Qing Luo into pieces. When Yi Qing Luo heard that, she only wanted to scold. A bunch of brainless scoundrels. Just a second ago, they were still fawning and worshipping her, looking at her, calling her senior Yi Qing Luo, student Yi Qing Luo. The next second, they started to accuse and abuse, each more ferocious than the other. Yi Qing Luo was amused by these brainless scoundrels' behavior. The other youngsters in devil class, faced with such a huge change in attitude, were unable to adapt to it. The speed at which their faces changed was faster than flipping a book. But Yi Qing Luo was already used to it. Human nature was like that. Listen to the wind is the wind. Listen to the rain is the rain. Yi Qing Luo's disdainful gaze was caught by Yin Junfei. Her expression sunk as she clenched her teeth and gave a cold harumph. Student Yi Qing Luo, don't think that just because you don't say anything, you won't be punished. Before I came, I've already invited Elder Yinxiang. Just wait to be expelled from the academy. Saying that, she pointed towards a group of students behind Yi Qing Luo, and all of you, none of you will be able to escape. Yi Qing Luo maintained a smile which didn't look like a smile. Under Yi Qing Luo's hint, devil classes students didn't say a single word. Even the furious old man Gui Yu, under Yi Qing Luo's gaze, forcefully suppressed his impulse, until Yin Xiang was led by a few female students from intermediate profound class 2 to the entrance of devil class's courtyard. Just as Yin Xiang walked over, Yin Jun Fei quickly recounted what she had found out. When Yin Xiang heard that, the peaceful expression on his face instantly darkened. A pair of malicious eyes fell onto Yi Qing Luo. Student Yi Qing Luo, is what student Yin Jun Fei said true? What do you think, Elder Yin Xiang? Yi Qing Luo raised her brows as she asked. I don't have a time to joke with you. You're only allowed to answer yes or no. Yin Xiang growled. Yi Qing Luo shrugged. Of course not. You're lying. Every single word I said is the truth. Yin Jun Fei gritted her teeth and growled. Yi Qing Luo sneered. If I had used the Imperial Palace's disciples to replace Devil Class's students to take part in the competition, then Devil Class's students wouldn't have met with an ambush in the West Continent, and they wouldn't have taken part in the competition with injuries. In the end, under Ghost Dr. Master's treatment, they would only be able to stand up and walk for an entire half a month. Towards the end, Yi Qing Luo's voice and imposing manner started to rise. Yin Jin Fei was shocked as she retreated a few steps. Chapter 1360. Student Yin Jun Fei is able to provide the evidence of the portraits to prove that you and the people in the portraits are totally different. Yin Xiang's face sunk. Then what evidence can you provide to prove that you are Devil Class's students? Yi Qing Luo's brows rose as she gave Yin Xiang a "you idiot" expression. Then take out the portraits. Isn't that the best evidence? Don't think that I don't dare to take it. Yin Jun Fei treated it as Yi Qing Luo's final struggle. She casually touched her space pocket. Following that, she took out a stack of drawing paper. On the drawing paper, there were many human faces. The students who were standing nearer couldn't help but gasp when they saw the extremely handsome faces on the portraits. Handsome is handsome, beautiful is beautiful. All of them were extremely pleasing to the eye. The students' gazes towards Devil Class's students had changed. Indeed, no one was perfect. Those Devil Class's students, although their innate talents were a little lacking, although their brains were a little silly, although their characters were a little soft, but they were handsome and beautiful. Their faces were good. Judging on one's looks had never been a conventional practice since ancient times, no matter when it was an era where one looked at one's looks. After gasping in admiration at the portraits of handsome men and beautiful women, the students looked at the people standing behind Yi Qing Luo. Indeed, they didn't look like them, although these youngsters looked more handsome than the other. But as compared to the people in the portraits, there were still some differences. At this moment, Yin Jun Fei suddenly took a step forward. She rushed to Yi Qing Luo's side and swiftly stretched out her hand, grabbing someone's arm and dragging her out. And this is also evidence. The person whom Yin Jun Fei dragged out was Yin Xiao Yi. This person is from my Yin family, a waste from the Yin family, a waste who can't even condense profound energy. How could she possibly pass Heavenly Academy's assessment and become a student of Heavenly Academy? Yin Jun Fei's tone was filled with disdain. What do I not know about the Yin family's matters? How could she possibly be a student of Devil Class? In the faculty council, Yin Jun Fei didn't even see Yin Xiao Yi's portrait, although she knew clearly that Yin Xiao Yi was no longer the past Yin Xiao Yi. Yin Xiao Yi's current ability was so powerful that even her heart trembled. But, at least for now, Yin Xiao Yi was not a student of Devil Class. The gazes of the students instantly converged on Yin Xiao Yi. Let go. Yin Xiao Yi frowned in disgust. She was not used to Yin Jun Fei's touch. She flung Yin Jun Fei's hand away and said calmly, I really don't want to show off my intelligence to you. You're as dumb as a pig. Talking to you is a waste of time. Seriously, he was not afraid of godlike opponent, but he was afraid of a pig-like teammate. Yin Junfei's godly assistance simply made Yiqing Luo not know whether to laugh or cry. She was just worrying about how she could remove the mask on her face without being questioned by the other students. Now, there was no need for the devil class to hide anymore. The students of the devil class could totally reveal their true faces. Yin Junfei had given him this chance. Yiqing Luo suddenly raised her hand as her slender index finger raised up. Suddenly, he gently crooked his finger. Tell them the truth. Yiqing Luo's tone was calm, without a hint of nervousness or panic. Yiqing Luo's attitude made Yin Junfei cover her chest warily, as her face revealed an astonished expression. The truth? What truth? Chapter 1361. Elder Yun Xiang. Since you're here, I'll have to trouble you to be the witness. Yiqing Luo retreated from her position. Brothers split up and stand properly. Devil class's youngsters immediately stood in line like during training. 60 over people stood at the entrance of Devil class's courtyard, split into 3 rows. They stood in a staggered position. The students opposite could clearly see every single Devil class student's face. Yin Xiang and Yin Junfei exchanged glances. Both of them couldn't figure out what Yiqing Luo was planning to do. Yin Xiaoyi shot a contemptuous glance at Yin Junfei, following that her vision turned towards those youngsters who were standing upright, as her lips curled into a smile. According to the Academy's regulations, in the Academy, slandering other students for no reason, or criticizing and questioning other students for no reason, will be severely punished. She paused and her voice was extremely soft, revealing a sliver of gentleness. This punishment seems to be recording a small demerit in asterisk. When Yin Xiaoyi's gaze fell onto Yin Junfei once again, Yin Junfei went into a blank. She looked at Yin Xiaoyi in a daze. This lady, was she really Yin Xiaoyi? Was she really the Yin Xiaoyi who suffered all sorts of humiliation in Yin family? No. Yin Xiaoyi didn't have the guts to talk to her. Yin Xiaoyi didn't even dare to take a look at her. How could she possibly use this kind of attitude to talk to her? Recalling some days ago at the Shi family's residence, when Yin Xiaoyi was bedridden, she gave her a ridiculing look. Looking at the present, Yin Xiaoyi didn't conceal her ridicule. Yin Junfei couldn't take it as she pointed at Yin Xiaoyi and roared, "You're feeling guilty. Don't try to use small demerits to suppress me. I'm telling you, not only do I suspect that Devil Class's students are all impersonated by Imperial Palace's disciples, I also suspect that you are not Yin Xiaoyi at all." Small demerit? Yin Xiaoyi seemed as though she didn't hear the latter half of her sentence. Our Devil Class has a total of 61 students. Other than Qing Luo, there are 60 other students. For a student to make a small demerit, you will record 60 demerits. Saying that, Yin Xiaoyi clicked her tongue. A student, at most 5 demerits. You're still changing the topic. You're obviously feeling guilty. Yin Junfei was so infuriated that her entire body was trembling as she clung onto Yin Xiaoyi tightly. Yiqing Luo made use of the Imperial Palace's power to obtain victory in the interclass competition. This is cheating. Yiqing Luo is the one who should be given demerit points and forced to leave the academy. Yiqing Luo, who had been standing by the side with her arms crossed, raised her brows with a smile which didn't look like a smile. Since that's the case, let's not play too big. After all, Yin Junfei is the most pampered eldest Miss Yin in the Yin family, so we should at least give them some face. Hearing Yiqing Luo's words, Yin Xiaoyi stopped her aggressive actions. Then let's do it this way. Student Yin Junfei insists on slandering our Devil Class, then Elder Yun Xiang will be the witness. If I can prove that they are indeed students of the Devil Class, then student Yin Junfei's file will be marked with a major demerit. How about that? Yiqing Luo's tone was relaxed, as though she was just casually mentioning it. Yin Junfei's expression instantly changed as she stared intently at Yiqing Luo, trying to tell what she was thinking from her expression. A big mistake. A student only had 3 chances of a major demerit. Furthermore, on asterisk, 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 if there were any demerit points recorded. Chapter 1362. Don't dare to bet. Yin Xiao, he ridiculed. Since you don't dare to, then don't stand here and solemnly accuse Devil Class. Saying that, Yin Xiao, he turned around and walked towards Devil Class's courtyard. How could Yin Jun Fei let go of this chance to turn Devil Class into a joke? For what she saw, Yi Qing Luo and Yin Xiao Yi were echoing each other to cover up their guilty conscience. Hence, Yin Jinfei looked at the both of them without any misgivings. All right, a big mistake is a big mistake. Anyway, both of you are definitely fake. Yi Qing Luo shook her head helplessly and sympathetically. Towards this kind of clown, Yi Qing Luo had no interest at all. Moreover, Yin Xiao, he was obviously extremely interested in this sister of hers who had the same father and mother. This kind of toy was naturally left for Yin Xiao to play with. Yi Qing Luo's gaze looked towards those students as she nodded her head slightly. Long Yunjan's cold and deep command was heard. Do it. Yes. 60 youngsters replied extremely loudly. Yun Xiang's expression changed drastically. What are you trying to do? As he said that, he opened up his arms, protecting those few hundred students behind him. Those few hundred students' expressions also turned fearful. Hearing the word do it, they all thought that Yi Qing Luo and the others were going to use brute force to hide the truth. But in the next instant, they understood exactly what Long Yunjan meant when he said attack. Even Yin Xiang's voice was cut off because of this. They saw those 3 rows of students moving in sync, as though they had gone through countless of rehearsals before they could reach such a tacit understanding. Everyone's actions seemed as though they were looking into a mirror. Rhythm, frequency, it was exactly the same. The youngsters uniformly touched their own faces. Bit by bit, they removed the mask on their faces. One by one, the youngsters revealed their real looks in front of the few hundred students. When the youngsters removed their masks, standing respectfully and looking at Yi Qing Luo, those few hundred students who were crowding around were totally not calm anymore. Handsome men. A bunch of handsome men. Beauties. A bunch of beauties. It could be said that Devil Class was the representative of Heavenly Academy's attractiveness. It wasn't an exaggeration at all. These young faces were revealed in front of everyone's eyes. There were already students shouting out, "He's the one in the portrait. It was this face. Look at his blue eyes." Yes, yes, yes. Those eyes can't be imitated at all. And the one beside him, he's also the person in the portrait. No wonder student Yi Qing Luo insisted on staying in the Devil Class. Even the temptation of the class of gods was unmoved. If it were me, with so many beauties around me, I wouldn't be willing to leave just by looking at them. The students stared in amazement at the Devil Class students who had revealed their lineup, and instantly felt that they were about to be conquered by these handsome guys and beauties of the Devil Class. When the youths from Devil Class took off the human mask, Yin Zhenfei's petite body staggered a few steps back. She stared at the students of the Devil Class in disbelief, unable to believe what she was seeing. But the truth was right in front of them. In front of her eyes, these students had personally taken off their masks and revealed their true faces. No, impossible. How could you be students of the Devil Class, no? I don't believe it. Yin Jinfei's footsteps were unstable as she fell onto the ground in a disheveled state. She raised her head and stared at those faces, which were exactly the same as in the portrait. Chapter 1363. The portraits of Devil Class's students were taken out by Yin Jinfei, and it had completely verified that these people were Devil Class's students. Yin Jinfei's trouble finding, not only did it not bring about any influence to Devil Class, instead it helped them clear all the students' suspicions towards Devil Class. And it also allowed the Devil Class to once again stand in front of everyone in an open and honorable manner. Yin Junfei felt that she was like a clown at this moment. Everyone was laughing at her, mocking her, looking at Yi Qing Luo and the other smiles, looking at Yin Xiao Yi's disdainful glances. The hatred and grievances in Yin Junfei's heart burned even more vigorously. It's my idea to let the students disguise themselves. Yi Qing Luo explained calmly. The world group is already eye-catching enough. If they were to show their faces in the interclass competition, it would easily attract the backlash from various powerhouses. She sighed softly. At least, we can't let the outside world know that the world group's members are Devil Class's students. So, students, can you help us keep this a secret? As Yi Qing Luo said that, her lips curled into a radiant smile. Like a gorgeous rose blooming, it made the students lose their souls when they saw that smile. Good, good. Student Yi Qing Luo, don't worry. We will absolutely not say anything. Student Yin Junfei is really too much, forcing Devil Class to reveal their own identities. Student Yin Junfei has now become a student of Intermediate Profound Class 2. She was once high and mighty, but now she has fallen 1,000 feet. Her heart is filled with grievances, trying to frame our goddess Qing Luo, Pui. Actually, the students wanted to say, the news that Devil Class's students were the world group's members. The people in the outside world had probably guessed it long ago, but now a bunch of students started to flatter them, flattering them to their heart's content, flattering them to their heart's content. They had totally forgotten that under Yin Junfei's instigation, they even helped Yin Junfei to force Yi Qing Luo and the others to take out the evidence. Human, what a ridiculous creature. Yi Qing Luo's peripheral vision didn't even take a look at Yin Junfei, only smiling as she looked at Yin Xiang. Elder Yin Xiang's confirmation of Devil Class, are you satisfied? In the depths of Yin Xiang's gentle and benevolent eyes, there was a trace of malice. Right from the start, I believe that student Yi Qing Luo isn't the kind of person who resorts to trickery. Yi Qing Luo's lips twitched indifferently. The irascible old man Gui, you could no longer control his emotions. Enough! You bunch of bastards! How dare you question my student in front of me? Are you doubting me? He had wanted to maintain his demeanor as a teacher on such an important occasion. However, this group of little brats was completely ignorant. You stand up. Old man Gui, you suddenly pointed at Yin Junfei. I am Devil Class's teacher, Ren. You King said that my little ass Luo made use of the Imperial Palace's disciple to replace the Devil Class's students. Are you trying to say that I and little ass Luo worked together and colluded with each other to let Devil Class win the interclass competition? No, I didn't. Yin Junfei was so scared that her tears started flowing. Old man Gui Yu's reputation was known by everyone in the entire academy. He was simply a crazy old man, a lunatic that even the director couldn't control. Whereas the other students' attention was placed on the way old man Gui Yu addressed Yi Qing Luo. Little ass Luo? Such an intimate way of addressing. Could it be that Yi Qing Luo had already become old man Gui Yu's disciple? Chapter 1364. Rude and unreasonable. But it was filled with the intention to protect the Devil Class and Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo's heart suddenly felt warm. The other Devil Class students looked at old man Gui Yu's back view and felt warmth in their hearts. Although this teacher of theirs was a little fierce and strict in terms of training, he was still a good teacher. But he was indeed a good teacher. For them to have the ability today, old man Gui Yu had a huge influence. Woo-woo. Woo-woo. Yin Junfei was so scared that she couldn't say a word. Her tears kept falling, and she cried until she couldn't catch her breath. If it was any other teacher, they might have been frightened by Yin Junfei's tears. But old man Gui Yu was not any other teacher. Even if the young lady died in front of him, he wouldn't be moved at all. This kind of crying to old man Gui Yu made him feel even more annoyed. Shut up. If you continue to cry, I will make you cry until you can't cry anymore. Old man Gui, you impatiently berated and threatened. His words successfully stopped Yin Zhenfei's wailing. She kept on sobbing as her little shoulders shrugged. She absolutely believed that based on Old Man Gui Yu's character, he would really make her suffer. Student Yin Zhenfei has no respect for her elders and provoked the teacher. Old Man Gui Yu squinted his eyes and looked at Yi Qing Luo. Last Luo, is this considered as a violation of the Academy's rules? Yes. The Heavenly Academy emphasized on respecting the teachers and elders. The students had to be respectful to the teachers, instructors, elders, and the like. Whoever dared to say anything harsh to the teachers would be considered as a violation of the Academy's rules. Based on the degree of disrespect that Yin Zhenfei has shown to me, what kind of punishment should she receive? Old Man Gui Yu shook off Yin Zhenfei's collar and looked at Yin Xiang. Yin Xiang's face turned pale when he was stared at by Old Man Gui Yu. Towards this crazy old man, even the director had to give way, not to mention Yin Xiang, although the status of the elders was higher than the teachers. But if the other party was Old Man Gui Yu, even the great elder Yin Xiang had to be respectful. Yin Xiang coughed dryly and ignored Yin Zhenfei's pleading eyes. According to the Academy's rules, Yin Zhenfei should be given a serious demerit as a warning. Yin Zhenfei fell to the ground again. She widened her eyes and looked at Yin Xiang in disbelief. She shook her head furiously. No, I didn't. He was the one who gave me the portrait. He was the one who asked me to do this. It wasn't me. She burst into tears. Choking with sobs, she shook her head incoherently. Don't punish me. Don't. It's him. It's him. One big mistake, two major mistakes. If it was really as what Yi Qing Luo and Yin Xiang had said, then she would have recorded down two serious mistakes today. A person only had 3 chances to pass the test. If it happened one more time, she would be forced to leave the academy. Moreover, these 2 mistakes would be clearly recorded in her file. No matter where she went in the future, these 2 humiliations would accompany her for the rest of her life. Who is it? Yi Qing Luo understood the deeper meaning in his words as she narrowed her eyes and asked. She could roughly guess that Yin Zhenfei had been used as a hostage. After all, Yin Zhenfei was just an ordinary member of the faculty council. How could she possibly find the devil class student's portrait? Yin Zhenfei opened her mouth and was about to throw the blame away. But her face suddenly turned pale. The crying stopped abruptly. Her eyes widened as fear filled her eyes. Chapter 1365. Yin Zhenfei's minute changes were seen clearly by Yi Qing Luo. Yin Zhenfei wanted to say out that person, but she seemed to have seen something. That eyes were filled with fear, so much so that she would rather bear everything herself. That person, who was it? Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes as she turned her head and looked towards the direction where Yin Zhenfei's gaze met earlier. The dense crowd of students didn't see any eye-catching person. Suddenly, a clear and warm voice was heard from outside the crowd. What's the matter? President, why are you here? The surrounding students greeted in unison. Yi Qing Luo heard the voice and immediately retracted her gaze as she looked straight ahead. The students opened up a path as a tall figure walked over slowly. His gentle and refined temperament was like a green lotus, quiet and elegant. His gentleness was different from Shi Shanglan. It was as if Shi Shanglan was always graceful and had a smile on his face no matter what happened. In modern terms, it was like a central air conditioner radiating warmth everywhere. Whereas Si Yin Mu's gentleness was that kind of quiet gentleness. He looked polite, but in actual fact, he was distant. Perhaps it was because he was the faculty council's president. Even if he was smiling, no one dared to get close to him. Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes as she raised her brows in interest. My devil class is indeed famous. Even the president is alarmed. This tone, no matter how one listened, it didn't sound like a compliment. Instead, it revealed a faint hint of sarcasm and probing. The person behind Yin Jun Fei was Si Yin Mu, but it seemed like it wasn't. Yin Jun Fei must have seen a certain place behind her, which was why she revealed a terrified expression. And Si Yin Mu came from right in front of her. But no matter which direction Si Yin Mu came from, she didn't have any good impression towards Si Yin Mu. I heard that someone stole the devil class's admission portrait in my president's office, so I specially came over to understand the situation. Si Yin Mu explained calmly. Yiqing Luo raised her brows, not fully believing him. This kind of matter, usually Si Yin Mu didn't need to appear personally. Si Yin Mu had always used Lu Shuiyu as a shield. Speaking of Lu Shuiyu, Yiqing Luo's vision surveyed the surroundings. He did not see Lu Shuiyu, who would follow Si Yin Mu like a shadow whenever he was around. Speaking of which, ever since that day, Lu Shuiyu had used a substitute. She didn't seem to see Lu Shuiyu. 7th grade Earth Profound Realm. He was even beaten so badly that he lost the match. He didn't know how many doubts Lu Shuiyu would face when she returned. How was she going to explain the matter of the Earth Profound 7th grade Profound rank? Si Yin Mu seemed to know who Yiqing Luo was looking for. He smiled gently. Lu Shuiyu is already retired from the faculty council. She is no longer the vice president of the faculty council, so naturally she does not need to follow me. Left the faculty council? Lu Shuiyu actually left the faculty council? It was forced or voluntary? With her obsession with Si Yin Mu, was she really willing to leave the faculty council? Lu Shuiyu voluntarily left the faculty council. Because of the competition, she has been blaming herself. Si Yin Mu explained patiently. This patience, in Yiqing Luo's opinion. He must have a motive. He mentioned Lu Shuiyu. What was it for? Yiqing Luo was still pondering when Si Yin Mu continued. While everyone is here, I would like to introduce to everyone the new vice president of the faculty council. What? New vice president? Who is it? How could she become the vice president so quickly? Chapter 1366. The students cast their curious eyes on Si Yin Mu. Some even guessed that the vice president would be Lu Shuilan. After all, Lu Shuilan had always been by Lu Shuiyu's side and helped her to do things. She knew the affairs of the faculty council the best. And when Lu Shuiyu was suspended from the position of vice president, Lu Shuilan also took over for a period of time. If Lu Shuilan took over, it would indeed be easy to handle. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes and looked at Si Yin Mu vigilantly. Was it necessary to announce the vice president in front of her? Si Yin Mu's actions today really made people suspicious. Just as everyone was discussing and making guesses, a figure suddenly appeared. Suddenly, an exclamation broke out from the crowd. It's Goddess Qian Qian. It's really her. How could she appear in the academy? Hey, don't call her goddess. She used such means in the interclass competition and even tried to take Yiqing Luo's life. Such a vicious woman. Calling her a goddess is simply an insult to her reputation. Immediately, different voices interrupted those praises. Two groups of people actually disregarded their image and started a quarrel in public. At this time, another student shouted, "Student Zi Qianqian is here. Stop quarreling." Didn't the president just say to announce the vice president? Could it be Student Zi Qianqian? As soon as these words came out, the two groups of people who were quarreling abruptly stopped. Those who were clamoring with disdain for Zi Qianqian also immediately stopped. What a joke. If Zi Qianqian was really the vice president, their insults would make things difficult for them in minutes. Just as they were talking, Zi Qianqian had already walked over with an air of immortality. She had specially dressed up today. Her exquisite makeup complemented her beautiful face, making it look even more beautiful and moving. Zi Qianqian stood beside Si Yin Mu, the corner of her mouth hooked into a cold arc. President. Where is she? Si Yin Mu looked behind Zi Qianqian and asked. Zi Qianqian replied indifferently. She is here. As she said, her beautiful eyes looked at the crowd and finally fixed on a certain place. Her slender, jade-like hands lifted slightly and spread out in that direction. A formless gust of wind blew the students away, creating a path for them to pass. This was not a hurricane made of profound energy. It was his aura, just as aura alone was enough to control the surrounding natural substances. The students sucked in a breath of cold air and stared at Zi Qianqian with reverence in their eyes. "Vice President, come here." Si Yanmu looked at the direction of the empty path and said in a warm voice. In the middle of the road, there was a petite figure with a timid expression. That delicate little face was filled with awkwardness. Her round, bright, beautiful eyes darted back and forth as she looked at the surrounding people who were pointing at her and looking at her with doubtful eyes. When Yiqing Luo's vision fell onto that young lady, she felt as though she had been electrocuted as her entire body stiffened, immediately standing stiffly on the spot. Her eyes widened and were filled with surprise. That person, the person that Si Yanmu addressed as Vice President, it was actually Lu Xiaoyu. That face, that expression, that posture. Yiqing Luo would absolutely not make a mistake. Lu Xiaoyu actually became the Vice President of the Faculty Council. When did this happen? How could it be Lu Xiaoyu? Lu Xiaoyu was just a new student. It could even be said that she was a completely unremarkable freshman. Other than eating, Lu Xiaoyu had no other hobbies, nor did she have any particular goal to strive for. Let her be the Vice President. The Faculty Council would collapse sooner or later. Chapter 1367. Lu Xiaoyu unnaturally brushed the hair on her forehead and walked to see Mu Yan's side with her body tensed up. Immediately, she spoke in a low voice. "President." Si Mu Yan nodded his head gently. "President, you say to let me think about it for a few days. Why now?" Lu Xiaoyu lowered her voice and asked timidly. Zi Qianqian glanced at her contemptuously. "It's your blessing that the president likes you. Don't go too far and look at your own status." Zi Qianqian was known as the #1 beauty in the Heavenly Academy with extremely high innate talent. Therefore, she had always been elegant and noble, only to be admired from afar and not to be profaned. In the interclass competition, her gentleness and awareness were used to deceive the other forces. However, beauties always had the capital to be capricious. Zi Qianqian was beautiful and capable. Her unattainable status made people feel more mysterious and fell in love with her. I. Lu Xiaoyu's eyes turned red, bit her lower lip, and whispered, "It's not me who wants to be the Vice President. Why are you getting angry at me? If you want to be the Vice President, vent your anger at the President." Lu Xiaoyu was not one to be criticized. Her unceremonious counterattack made Zi Qianqian's face turn extremely ugly. Logically speaking, Lu Shuiyu had left the Faculty Council, and the Vice President position should be taken over by Zi Qianqian. Si Yanmu inexplicably brought Lu Xiaoyu into the Faculty Council and even handed over the position of Vice President to Lu Xiaoyu. This Lu Xiaoyu was just a freshman. Furthermore, he was a freshman with ordinary talent and wasn't considered smart. The reason why she remembered the name Lu Xiaoyu was because this Lu Xiaoyu was Yiqing Luo's friend. How could Zi Qianqian feel balanced? You haven't become the Vice President yet, and you're already putting on airs. Zi Qianqian approached Lu Xiaoyu, lowered her voice, and raised her eyebrows with a faint smile. Don't think that you can really do whatever you want just because you have the president's support. In this regard, Lu Xiaoyu only wanted to say one sentence. "Miss, are you sick in the head?" Lu Xiaoyu estimated that she must be sick and seriously sick. Seeing the disdain in Lu Xiaoyu's eyes, Zi Qianqian's face darkened. Lu Xiaoyu. His fingers were clenched into a fist. She heard Si Yanmu's low voice. "Qianqian, enough." Hearing the anger in Si Yanmu's tone, Zi Qianqian's heart was filled with grievances, but he still kept his mouth shut. He snorted coldly at Lu Xiaoyu, then turned his head to look in the direction of the students who were watching from the sidelines. Qing Luo. Lu Xiaoyu couldn't be bothered to talk to Zi Qianqian as she turned her gaze towards Yiqing Luo and waved at her desperately. Seeing Yiqing Luo again, Lu Xiaoyu was obviously extremely happy. She glanced at Si Yin Mu from the corner of her eyes and hesitated for a moment. He still rushed to Yiqing Luo's side. "Qing Luo, I missed you so much." Lu Xiaoyu threw herself into Yiqing Luo's arms, her petite body pressed against Yiqing Luo's. Come to think of it, the two of them had not seen each other for more than half a month. What had happened in this half a month? Lu Xiaoyu and Si Yin Mu. Yiqing Luo gently patted Lu Xiaoyu's back. Her gaze vigilantly looked at Si Yin Mu, who was standing not too far away with a smile on his face. She secretly speculated in her heart. Was Si Yin Mu looking for Lu Xiaoyu because of her? Chapter 1368. Yiqing Luo's hand on her shoulder paused slightly. What happened? Lu Xiaoyu was not a fool. It was impossible for Si Yin Mu to look for her and let her be the vice president. She happily thought that it was because of her outstanding ability and her inner beauty that Si Yin Mu found out about. So he looked for her. Si Yin Mu looked for her, an unremarkable freshman. He must be up to no good. At this moment, Lu Xiaoyu's mood was also extremely complicated. The president suddenly found me and asked me if I was willing to be the vice president of the faculty council. Lu Xiaoyu shook her head. He didn't say why he wanted me to be the vice president. He just repeatedly asked me if I was willing. In other words, Si Yin Mu had never contacted Lu Xiaoyu before. But all of a sudden, he came to find Lu Xiaoyu. What was Si Yin Mu's purpose? Just because Lu Xiaoyu became the vice president, he could use Lu Xiaoyu to control her? Yiqing Luo had more or less heard the argument between Zi Qianqian and Lu Xiaoyu earlier. Lu Xiaoyu did not promise Si Yin Mu to be the vice president of the faculty council. He just replied that he would consider it. But before Lu Xiaoyu could think of an answer, Si Yin Mu forcefully announced Lu Xiaoyu's existence to the students. This was obviously forcing Lu Xiaoyu to become the vice president. Such behavior made Yiqing Luo even more suspicious of Si Yin Mu's motive. Little Yu wants to become the vice guild leader. Yiqing Luo did not directly voice out her suspicions towards Si Yin Mu, but asked Lu Xiaoyu about her own thoughts. After all, Si Yin Mu had been in the academy for a few years and had also served as the president of the faculty council for a few years. His influence in the academy was not inferior to anyone in the elder council. His reputation was high, his ability was outstanding, and he was loved by everyone in the academy. Such a man, if Yiqing Luo really showed her contempt and suspicion towards Si Yin Mu in front of so many people, this group of students would definitely spit on her and drown her in it. She could be willful and disrespect the faculty council with her strength. However, he must not touch the bottom line of the students. Just like in the eyes of the students of the devil class, she was the spiritual pillar of the devil class, the light of hope for the devil class. Once someone questioned her existence, questioned her ability, this had touched the bottom line of the devil class. I'll show you what I can do. Lu Xiaoyu pursed her lips and thought in distress. To be honest, I want to give it a try. After a pause, her frown deepened. But you know me. I'm not smart, and I'm not a rich young lady. I don't understand this kind of thing at all. Yiqing Luo looked at her quietly. Her gaze was gentle and her smile was light. He encouraged Lu Xiaoyu to say what he wanted to say. But this is a rare opportunity to learn. Lu Xiaoyu's gaze gradually became firm, and the expression on her face gradually changed from the slightly timid expression to one of radiance. Perhaps I will cause a lot of trouble, but I want to grow to the point where I can help Qing Luo. Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly softened. This lasts. In the end, he was still thinking about her. Yiqing Luo was very clear. She gradually released the light from her body. The gap between the two of them, who were originally walking side by side, grew wider and wider. Although Lu Xiaoyu did not say it out loud, she was actually very upset in her heart. This was not because of jealousy. On the contrary, Yiqing Luo was able to grow so quickly and release her own light. Lu Xiaoyu was very happy and elated. Only, seeing her good sister becoming stronger, she could not catch up to her good sister's footsteps. Chapter 1369. Because of this, the last time when Yiqing Luo invited Lu Xiaoyu to join the World Mercenary Group, Lu Xiaoyu rejected. It wasn't that Lu Xiaoyu didn't want to join, but she wasn't willing to drag Yiqing Luo down. This time, the position of Faculty Council's vice president gave her a good learning opportunity. If she could do the vice president's position well, she would definitely be able to help Yiqing Luo. Then go and do it. Yiqing Luo smiled as she caressed her head. Xiaoyu wants to learn, then agree to the president's request. But Lu Xiaoyu's eyelids drooped. Yiqing Luo had a few conflicts with the faculty council, and she was the clearest about it. Even Master Gui Yu had created a huge ruckus in the faculty council. If she agreed to become the faculty council's vice president, wouldn't that be betraying Yiqing Luo? No buts. Yiqing Luo shook her head as she stopped her words. Don't you want to grow and help me? Following that, she lowered her voice to a volume that only the two of them could hear and said, I don't have anyone in the faculty council. If you're the vice president of the faculty council, the students of the devil class will have more freedom in the academy. Lu Xiaoyu was stunned as her pupils widened. Not waiting for her to cry out in shock, Yiqing Luo had already rubbed her head, as though she was a big sister, placating her. Just do according to what Xiaoyu has in mind. You only need to remember one point. Me, devil class, will be your backing. Lu Xiaoyu pursed her lips as her eyes glistened with tears. She was touched, but I'm afraid I can't do it well. I'm not smart and have no innate talent. Nonsense. Yiqing Luo interrupted Lu Xiaoyu's self-deprecation. Xiaoyu, do you know what your biggest strength is? Lu Xiaoyu had a blank look. It's your persistence and unyielding faith. Yiqing Luo smiled. Do you still remember the first time we were at the freshman training grounds? All the freshmen had given up on running. Only you persisted in running the entire course. After that, for all the training, you will persist in completing every single task. Yiqing Luo's smile became warmer. You're great, much better than what you imagined. Lu Xiaoyu's eyes instantly turned red. And I will definitely work hard. She clenched her fists tightly and turned around. Facing Si Yanmu, she bowed and said, President, in the future, please guide me. Si Yanmu's eyes were warm. He smiled and nodded. Welcome to the Faculty Council, Vice President. Lu Xiaoyu bent her waist even lower. I will try my best not to cause trouble for the president. Hearing the incessant chatter, Yiqing Luo helplessly laughed out as she walked forward to help Lu Xiaoyu up. Her charming eyes slightly lifted and looked into Boss Yanmu's eyes. President, in the future, Xiaoyu will have to trouble you. If Xiaoyu causes you any trouble, please don't hesitate to look for me. I will not stand on ceremony. Si Yanmu smiled elegantly. Yiqing Luo returned a smile. Since you're already the vice president of the faculty council, I'll leave all the matters of the faculty council to you. Zi Qianqian, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke. She crossed her arms over her chest and coldly glanced at the young lady who was kneeling by the side, sobbing softly. The student's portrait, that is the student's privacy, and also something that the school pays great attention to protecting. She snuck into the president's office and stole the devil class's portrait. Vice President, how do you think we should deal with this? Yin Zhenfei, who was kneeling on the ground, suddenly trembled. She thought that the people from the faculty council had shifted their attention away from her. Why did it involve her again? Chapter 1370. Lu Xiaoyu's expression stiffened. I deal with it. She looked over at Yin Zhenfei. Coincidentally, Yin Zhenfei was staring at her with a venomous gaze. Lu Xiaoyu was so shocked that she took a step back towards Yiqing Luo, The expression on her face turned uglier. I don't know about these. Before she could say the word understand, Xian Mu's gentle voice had interrupted Lu Xiaoyu's rejection. Qianqian's suggestion is not bad. Then, this matter will be handed over to the vice president to deal with. His gaze was gentle, and his smile made one feel as if spring had bloomed. As if he really didn't hear Lu Xiaoyu's rejection, and didn't see Lu Xiaoyu's increasingly ugly expression. Instead, it was the kind of gaze that encouraged his juniors to complete the task well, making one have no choice but to accept this task, no choice but to obey his orders. Xian Mu was a natural leader. He could easily manipulate people's emotions, making people involuntarily listen to his arrangements. Such a person was indeed suitable to be the faculty council president. At this moment, Lu Xiaoyu's refusal was stuck in her throat. The words that came out of her mouth were completely different from the words that came out of her brain. Okay, I will try my best. Just as the voice fell, Lu Xiaoyu stopped in annoyance. She covered her mouth tightly with both hands. Slender eyelashes were desperately fluttering. The beautiful eyes under the eyelashes stared at Xian Mu, incomparably annoyed. Zi Qianqian snorted coldly, unable to conceal the coldness and disdain between her brows. Then, Vice President, I will have to trouble you here. After that, she used a cold and arrogant gaze to look at the students around her. This student, Lu Xiaoyu, will be the future vice president of the faculty council. She is a freshman, so, students, don't forget to help this newly appointed vice president in the future. The president and I still have things to deal with in the faculty council. Everyone must get along peacefully. That tone was raised to an extremely high pitch. Yiqing Luo felt that it was a little ear-piercing. Zi Qianqian deliberately emphasized the words help, help. The meaning in those words was extremely obvious. A freshman became the vice president of the faculty council. For countless old students, as well as Lu Shuiyu's group of supporters, they would never give up. Moreover, Lu Xiaoyu was just an ordinary freshman. Even now, he only had the title of vice president. However, Zi Qianqian's words clearly indicated that this vice president did not have the slightest bit of authority. Zi Qianqian was the one who held the true authority of the vice president. You're too polite, student Z. Suddenly, a clear voice came from beside Lu Xiaoyu. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into an extremely shallow smile. Her charming eyes curved into a long and narrow arc. Just by looking forward with a faint smile, she exuded a demonic charm. I'm very happy for Xiaoyu that my little sister is valued by the president. Her voice wasn't loud, but it wasn't soft either. His tone and tone were controlled just right. It was clearly domineering and overbearing, but it was impossible for others to feel aversion towards it. This is my sister's first time taking on such an important position. I believe that she will be able to gradually grow with everyone's help. If one day this sister of mine is able to hold her own, Yiqing Luo, will definitely represent the entire devil class to thank all the students for their help. Yiqing Luo's words were sincere and sincere. A pair of smiling eyes also sincerely looked at the surrounding people. Yiqing Luo's words had just landed. Chapter 1371. What a joke. This was Yiqing Luo's sister. Who was Yiqing Luo? The most popular person in the school. The champion of this year's inter-class competition. They had already witnessed Yiqing Luo's strength in the inter-class competition. In just a few months' time, she was able to turn from a waste to the current. Earth Profound 4th grade Profound Cultivator. This kind of advancement speed, in this world, only the Overlord from the Imperial Palace could be comparable to her. Speaking of the Overlord, didn't Yiqing Luo and Dimo Xian have that kind of relationship? Everyone was clear about the relationship between Dimo Xian and Yiqing Luo when it concerned the Overlord. But they would never mention the fact that Yiqing Luo had not reported to her parents and had already decided to marry the Overlord, which was such an immoral thing. Yes, there was still the Overlord. Obviously, Yiqing Luo was the most popular person in the school now. They naturally had to stand on Yiqing Luo's side. As for the number one beauty, Zi Qianqian, in the last interclass competition, they were already full of things to complain about. Now she was still arrogant and commanding everyone. It was more reliable for them to stand on Yiqing Luo's side. At least, looking at Yiqing Luo's attitude towards Lu Xiaoyu and her attitude towards her classmates, it was very clear. Yiqing Luo must be an affectionate and righteous woman. The cheers of the students were mixed with sarcasm and ridicule towards Zi Qianqian. Zi Qianqian, who had not gone far, had a gloomy expression. If Xian Mu had not stopped her, she would have rushed forward and had another battle with Yiqing Luo. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Xian Mu's tone was still gentle, but what he said made Zi Qianqian's eyes redden. Towards Xian Mu, Zi Qianqian still did not have the usual arrogance and condescension. Xian Mu was the class monitor of the God class. Zi Qianqian naturally respected him. President Lu Xiaoyu has become the vice president of the faculty council. Since Yiqing Luo is so affectionate, then she is bound to be involved with the faculty council. By then, Xian Mu's voice sank. His gentle eyes narrowed slightly. Zi Qianqian frowned. Why tie Yiqing Luo to the faculty council? Just based on her, what qualifications does she have to be involved with the faculty council? Xian Mu did not answer. He rubbed his chin, the coldness in his eyes faintly flowing. Why? Because he was a member of the underworld. For his Xiang, he wanted to pave a straight path to the destination. Lu Xiaoyu was the best candidate. In the afternoon, Xie Yin brought good news. Director and Elder Quarters had already agreed for Yiqing Luo to retain Devil Class. As for High Profound Class 2, it was temporarily vacant. Thank you for abiding by our agreement. Yiqing Luo looked at the contract in her hands, which was signed by the director and the Elder's Quarters, as she gave a satisfied smile. She folded the contract and placed it in the profound phoenix ring. With this contract in hand, all the students in the Devil Class were all free and unfettered. In this heavenly academy, no matter if it was the dean or the elders, no one had the authority to order the students of the Devil Class to do anything. Xia Yin shook his head. Since it's an agreement, I will naturally do my best. Yiqing Luo smiled. That's right. Xie Yin hesitated for a while. As he looked away unnaturally, I heard, Xiaoyu has become the vice president of the faculty council? Xiaoyu. Chapter 1372. The Faculty Council. She's just a new student. Wouldn't that be too much pressure for her? Xie Yin tried to be tactful. The interest in Yiqing Luo's eyes intensified. Student Xie seems to care a lot about Xiaoyu. Xie Yin's handsome face instantly flushed red. His gaze wandered around unnaturally. No, it's just that we used to be in the same class. As the former class monitor, when I heard that she had become the vice president of the faculty council, I naturally showed some concern. It's my first time coming into contact with the affairs of the faculty council, and I'm also the vice president. The pressure must be huge. Yiqing Luo stopped teasing Xie Yin as her lips curled into a smile. But to Xiaoyu, this is a huge turning point in her life. This is Xiaoyu's choice. No matter how much pressure she's under, no matter how busy she is, as long as she doesn't tell her to stop, she will be able to hold on. Xie Yin paused. After a long while, he finally nodded his head. Xiaoyu's potential is immeasurable. When she slowly matures and transforms, she will definitely break out of her cocoon and become a butterfly. Yiqing Luo smiled as she muttered to herself. Metamorphosis from a cocoon to a butterfly. Xie Yan's eyes were overflowing with gentleness. Xiaoyu is a smart girl. I'm sure you've heard about the first mission that was announced after Xiaoyu was appointed, right? Xie Yan nodded. Lu Xiaoyu had indeed dealt with Yan Jinfei. However, the way to deal with it was not what everyone expected, to take the chance to kill Yan Jinfei. Lu Xiaoyu was very fair and strict. Slandering a devil-class student was a huge offense. Being disrespectful to a teacher was a grave offense. Stealing a student's portrait from the faculty council and betraying a student's privacy had severely damaged the reputation of the academy. Lu Xiaoyu forced Yin Zhenfei out of the faculty council as a warning to others. As for the matter of betraying a student's privacy, the student who was betrayed was the devil class. Under Lu Xiaoyu's pleading, the students of the devil class chose to forgive Yin Zhenfei and no longer pursue the matter. Therefore, according to the rules of the faculty council, Lu Xiaoyu noted down 2 minor demerits for Yin Zhenfei and announced it to the entire academy, criticizing Yin Zhenfei's behavior. Of course, this was not the most important thing. What made Yiqing Luo unable to restrain her laughter was Lu Xiaoyu was also a black-bellied girl. She said that Yin Zhenfei's thoughts were not correct and that she was impatient. It was extremely imposing. He led the members of the faculty council and personally escorted Yin Zhenfei back to the Yin family. He told Yin Zhenfei to recuperate at home for 2 months before returning to the academy, although he did not expel Yin Zhenfei from the academy. But this punishment was no different from the humiliation Yin Zhenfei had suffered when she was expelled from the academy. However, all of Lu Xiaoyu's punishments were reasonable. Speaking of which, he was already being merciful. This was enough to prove that Lu Xiaoyu was not as stupid as she seemed on the surface. Her intelligence and meticulousness were hidden in her heart. If it's possible, when student Xie is free, help me take a look at Xiaoyu, guide her, and give her some help. I think Xiaoyu will be very grateful to you. Yiqing Luo said with a smile. Xie suddenly raised his head. Of course, I will definitely help Xiaoyu. These words were spoken extremely quickly, and they were sonorous and forceful. It was as if he had blurted out his inner thoughts. Xie Yin realized that he was overreacting and hurriedly explained, as the former class president, it's only right for me to care about my former classmates. Yiqing Luo smiled without saying a word, until she sent Xie Yin off with her eyes. Yiqing Luo turned around and returned to the devil class's courtyard. In the following days, they had to prepare for the academy's exchange meet, which was half a month later. The director and Wolf Saint Technique had prepared such a huge surprise for the devil class in South Continent. Chapter 1373. Devil class was back on the right track. Everything was the same as before, but more or less there was some difference. In the past, when these students appeared in the academy, no one cared about them. Now, no matter where these students went, they would be chased by a group of fangirls. Even in Irua Pan, Beiming Liansheng, and the rest of the profound grades, who were currently in the mystic profound grades, had captured a large number of supporters who were even higher than them. Initially, devil classes students were still enjoying it. After all, these people used to look down on them, ridiculing them, saying that they were trash. But now, no matter where they went, they were respected, admired, and envied. Of course, this didn't mean that. These youngsters were too complacent. These were all youngsters in their teens, so their minds are not mature yet. Naturally, they would be complacent because of the change in the students' attitude towards them. But after a long time, these students tasted the pressure of being supported and flattered by their supporters. They had to undergo extremely strict training every day. There was the integrated training from the few members of the class committee and also Guayu's training. After that, they had to be surrounded by the other students, asking them some messy questions. Wherever they went, there would be people following them. Over time, these students simply holed up in the courtyard of the devil class, too lazy to go out. Yiqing Luo had also experienced the ancient method of chasing after stars. This degree of craziness was absolutely not inferior to those fans in the modern era. The other students, after going through the interclass competition, initially didn't feel that devil class's performance was very impressive. To be able to obtain victory, that was because of Yiqing Luo's good luck. But under the intentional popularization, how devil class's students cooperated, how they pretended to be disheveled. In actual fact, they were leading those students in circles to deplete their energy. Following that, Yiqing Luo specially placed some of Devil class's physical training on the public square. These training was even stricter than their freshman's training. Those students who thought that they were elite students after seeing these training were completely defeated. Even the two cold-faced instructors in charge of the freshman training, Instructor He and Instructor Chu, had joined their training. Devil class was indeed no longer the previous waste class. It could be said that Devil class was completely popular. Yiqing Luo's reputation became even more resounding. But these few days, Yiqing Luo obviously felt a trace of strangeness. How should one describe this feeling? It seemed that ever since they returned from the Shi family's residence, these youths in Devil class had an obvious change in attitude towards her, Long Yunjian and the rest. Long Yunjian also felt this change. The youths of Devil class were still the same youths. However, they seemed to be more respectful and well-behaved toward her and Long Yunjian. She would never go against anything they had said. They were so well-behaved that they didn't seem like children of their age. If it was in the past, she wanted to strengthen the training, although these youths would still listen to her orders obediently in the end. But before he listened, he would definitely wail incessantly or even roll around and act cute, asking Yiqing Luo to cancel her plan of strengthening the training. Being obedient was a good thing, but Yiqing Luo recalled that when they were at the Shi family's residence, their attitude towards her and Shi Shanglan was obviously different. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but creased her brows. He always felt that it was too easy to get out of the Shi family's residence. Chapter 1374. Yiqing Luo's mind was filled with messy thoughts, unable to stop. She sighed as she pushed open the door to the dormitory, which she had not stepped into for half a month. She could obviously feel that when she stayed in the Devil class, those youngsters' emotions were too tensed up. She might as well return to the dormitory. If she wasn't around, those youngsters should be able to relax. Walking into the dormitory, she discovered that there was no one around. Thinking about it, it made sense. After Liu Xiaoyu took over the vice president's position, she had been at the faculty council every day, try her best to learn the vice president's ability. As for Mo Yuing, she appeared and disappeared unpredictably. If she didn't want to appear, basically no one would be able to see her. The other Liu Shuiyu. It seemed like after the interclass competition, there was no news of her coming to the academy. Looking at the empty dormitory, Yiqing Luo sighed softly as she walked into her own dormitory. So lonely. All along, she had been together with the students and had never separated before. Now, she was isolated by the students. This feeling was not good at all. I'm not around. Lil Luo feels lonely? A mellow and deep voice that was as mellow as fine wine rang in his ears. That distance was extremely close, as though it was right next to her ear. Yiqing Luo got a shock as she immediately turned around. Warm, thin lips brushed past her skin. Yiqing Luo had yet to react, and at the moment she turned around, she felt the world spinning as her feet left the ground. She cried out in shock as she subconsciously wrapped her arms around the man's neck. A warm kiss landed on her lips. The elegant sandalwood scent filled up Yiqing Luo's empty heart. Ah Xian. Yiqing Luo's breathing was hurried as she called out Mo Xian's name. Her voice had just left her mouth. The next moment, she was already pressed onto the soft bed, a head of fine black hair scattered onto the white pillow. His scorching hot body pressed down. Ah Xian. Yiqing Luo's face was flushed red, both her hands propped on his chest as she lowered her eyes. Mo Xian narrowed his long peach blossom eyes as he gazed deeply at the woman below him, a beauty that could topple a city. Her eyes were like silk as she emitted a charming invitation. Sparkling peach blossom eyes, the lustrous luster became darker. It seemed even more profound and intoxicating. Ah Xian, don't press on me, it's very heavy. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes were stained with tears as she was extremely shy. When they were in the Shi family's residence, Demo Xian would basically appear in her room at night, hugging her to sleep. When she woke up the next day, he was nowhere to be found. And after returning to the academy, Dmo Xian still needed to use the identity of revered Mo to handle the matters of the academy. As a result, it had been a long time since they had had a proper conversation or interaction. She hadn't expected him to appear in her dormitory room at this time. He had even used his true appearance to show himself. Wasn't he afraid of being discovered by the students of the academy or other teachers? Lil Luo, without you by my side, I also feel so lonely. The man's low and hoarse voice seemed to carry countless tenderness. It made one involuntarily want to sink into his warmth. Yiqing Luo's heart thumped uncontrollably. At the same time, Dmo Xian slightly propped up his body to avoid his entire body's weight, pressing onto Yiqing Luo. However, he only moved away a little. His hot chest was still tightly pressed against her body. Chapter 1375. He lowered his eyelids and met her gaze. His scorching gaze seemed to burn her body. Yiqing Luo felt her entire body was burning hot. She instinctively shifted her gaze away and stretched out her hand to push his burning hot chest as she bit her lips. Xian, you get up first. Dmo Xian's gaze was so blatant. How could she not tell what the burning flames in Dmo Xian's eyes represented? Yiqing Luo evaded. Dmo Xian closed in. His slender fingers gently stroked the air. The greenish-white uniform immediately fell off his body, revealing the watercolor doo-doo underneath. Xian. Yiqing Luo pressed his scorching palm as she twisted her body and shrunk in the opposite direction. But before she could move, his body was pinned under his body by a large palm. Dmo Xian's eyes were fixated on her delicate face. Lil Luo, have you forgotten what I said earlier? Yiqing Luo's cheeks suddenly turned red. He said, in a few days, I will make her cry for mercy. This was already a few days had passed. Her reliance to provoke Dmo Xian. Aunt Menstruation had already paid a visit and left. Looking at Dmo Xian's current stance, it was obvious that he would not give up until he achieved his goal. She had to think of a way. Before she could think of a way, Yiqing Luo's mind suddenly went blank as her petite body started trembling. His hand actually slid directly into the doo-doo. That touch stimulated Yiqing Luo like an electric shock. Reflexively, she pressed Dmo Xian's hand again. But Dmo Xian's reaction was faster than her. He directly grabbed both her hands and raised them above her head. His body had already moved downwards, using his mouth to replace the action of his hands. She had lived 2 lifetimes. This was the first time Yiqing Luo was touched in this way. She only felt a numbing electric shock from head to toe, making her unable to muster up any strength. Her mind was also blank. She almost cried out uncontrollably. Xian, wait. I have something to tell you. It's the Academy's recent matters. Dmo Xian added more force. We'll talk about it later. Yiqing Luo sucked in a mouthful of cold air as she stuttered, and Devil Class's students, Dmo Xian abruptly opened his doo-doo. We'll talk about it later. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes were already sparkling and translucent, as her body trembled uncontrollably. The consciousness in her mind also started to dissipate, but he leaned down and kissed her lips forcefully. His hands didn't stop moving. Can't you shut your mouth? The next day, when Yiqing Luo woke up, the sky was already bright. She wanted to rub her eyes, but she felt sore all over. He didn't even have the strength to lift his hand. It was as if someone had broken his bones and then reconstructed his body. She frowned and groaned. Let's rest a little longer. Suddenly, she heard a man's low and hoarse voice. Yiqing Luo cried out in shock as she raised her head abruptly and met with a pair of peach blossom eyes, which were filled with a satisfied and pampering smile. The memories from last night immediately rushed into his mind. Her cheeks suddenly turned red. Last night she and DMO Xian. She was actually eaten by DMO Xian. And it really came true to DMO Xian's words. She cried for mercy. Her cries were heart-wrenching and extremely tragic. But a beast like DMO Xian, she was begging for mercy and couldn't stop DMO Xian's actions. Tired. Feel. No. Love. DMO Xian held her slender wrist with one hand. Yiqing Luo's body stiffened as her face turned crimson red. She cried out in a hoarse voice, "No, I can't anymore. Ah, Xian, don't." She was still in pain now. This man who had just started didn't know how to control himself? Wait, DMO Xian's past. She had no way to understand. And how could she be sure that DMO Xian had just started? Last night's actions were so skillful. Could it be that in the past? The wild thoughts in her mind had yet to come to a conclusion. DMO Xian had already pulled her body into his embrace. Their exposed skin was tightly pressed against each other. Yiqing Luo could clearly feel the changes in her body. So shy that she wanted to retreat. But she had no energy. Lil Luo. He called out her name in a low voice. Yiqing Luo was bashful and confused about the reason why his proficiency points were maxed out. She gave a muffled in his arms. Chapter 1376. Yiqing Luo suddenly raised her eyes. Her tearful eyes met his. His breathing suddenly stopped. Her cheeks were slightly flushed. He said he loved her. DMO Xian had said a lot of sweet nothings. But this was the first time he had sincerely said the word love. She knew that DMO Xian loved her. But based on DMO Xian's character, he would absolutely not say such a confession. She had never thought that DMO Xian would say this. At this moment, she heard it from his mouth. Yiqing Luo only felt that her world was blooming with colorful fireworks. Soreness all over. The pain in his body, as well as earlier, because DMO Xian might have had sexual relations with other women in the past. Everything was thrown to the back of his mind. She smiled happily. "I love you too, Ah Xian." A rough and urgent kiss landed on her lips. Yiqing Luo moaned softly as her swollen lips were ravaged by him viciously. It hurt a little. His body temperature rose again. It scorched Yiqing Luo's skin. Yiqing Luo wanted to struggle. "Ah Xian, stop. This man, why doesn't he seem to be full? If he did it again, she would be the one who was going to be broken." "Don't, Ah Xian. It hurts, it really hurts." Yiqing Luo showed her weakness as she held DMO Xian's hand, her charming eyes looking at him pitifully. DMO Xian's body stiffened and immediately tensed up. This kind of begging and showing of weakness made his desire burn even more vigorously. He really wanted to press Yiqing Luo onto his body again, to properly feel her existence. Last night's tightness and that comfortable feeling. No matter how much he ate, he couldn't beat them. However, he still forced himself to hold on and stopped. He propped himself up and gazed deeply at the girl with crimson cheeks and seductive eyes. Her eyes were hazy and seductive. Her hair, which was drenched in sweat, clung tightly to her skin, making her look extremely sexy. It was clear that she was aroused. However, there was a glimmer of tears at the corner of her eyes. Her petite body could not stop trembling. He had lost his self-control last night, eating Yiqing Luo over and over again. No wonder Yiqing Luo was crying out in pain. He turned sideways and fell beside Yiqing Luo as he stretched out his hand and caressed her body. "Where does it hurt? Why are you asking when you already know the answer?" Yiqing Luo was so angry that her cheeks turned red as she gritted her teeth and rebuked. "Here?" He reached out and touched the place where he had played with her. Yiqing Luo's petite body couldn't stop trembling as her breathing quickened. "Emperor, Ink, Xian." His fingers were very gentle. It was as if he was touching the most precious thing in the world. Yiqing Luo's body trembled, but she didn't feel any pain at all. DMO Xian withdrew his hand and hugged her tightly as his warm lips kissed her panting lips. "I'm sorry, I've hurt you." Seeing that he really had no intention of continuing, Yiqing Luo heaved a sigh of relief. Now, she totally had no way to endure DMO Xian's crazy plundering. Fortunately, this man had not transformed into a beast. And it really hurts. Yiqing Luo pouted her lips and cried out pitifully and aggrievedly. But in his heart, he was secretly laughing. She didn't want to pretend to be aggrieved. Wouldn't it allow DMO Xian to be even more unbridled in the future? For the sake of her future life, she must restrain DMO Xian's desire. "I'm sorry." DMO Xian apologized once again as his long arms wrapped tightly around her petite body. His gaze was deep. "I don't have any experience in this area and don't know how to control myself. I've hurt you. I'll be more careful next time." Chapter 1377. This time, she almost lost half of her life. If there was another time, she would definitely die. Wait, what did he just say? Yiqing Luo suddenly reacted. The anger in her eyes turned into surprise and suspicion. "Huh? You have no experience?" No experience? In other words, DMO Xian had never had a woman before? She was his first woman? Then how did he manage to fill up the proficiency points that he was so familiar with? Where did he get the skills to torment her so badly? The guilt and tenderness in DMO Xian's eyes faded away. He stretched out his hand and pinched her lower jaw directly. The slightly squinted peach blossom eyes were deep and quiet. He stared at her condescendingly with an imposing manner. "Are you doubting me?" Yiqing Luo was stunned by his imposing manner as she lowered her eyes. I feel that you are very powerful, so..." A trace of smile gradually appeared in his quiet eyes. He loosened the strength that pinched her lower jaw and lowered his head. How am I powerful?" At such a close distance, Yiqing Luo could feel DMO Xian's breath on her lips. She wanted to retreat, but DMO Xian hugged her even tighter. His lips were on her face. "If you don't explain clearly, I will continue." DMO Xian. Yiqing Luo flew into a rage out of humiliation. "If you tease me again, I will kick you off the bed." DMO Xian gave a low laugh, but stopped the act of forcing her to say such shameful words. His arms tightened around her as he whispered in her ear, "In this big world, the only woman who can enter my eyes is only you." Yiqing Luo's long, curly eyelashes fluttered. Was he explaining her previous suspicions? Other than her, he would not touch any other woman. Was this the promise he made to her? Yiqing Luo closed her eyes as her hands tightly circled around his neck. Whether it was a promise or not, at this moment, she took it seriously. DMO Xian was not a person who spoke casually. Whatever he said, he would definitely do it. She believed in DMO Xian, and also believed in the feelings between them. The two of them snuggled together on the bed for another 1 hour. The school bell had already rung for lunch. Yiqing Luo then realized with a start that it was already noon. Oh no, morning training. She still had to watch the devil class's students train and had actually forgotten about this matter. Yiqing Luo hurriedly tried to get up. The arm that was around her waist pulled her into his embrace. Yiqing Luo's delicate body fell backwards. She fell into the scorching embrace of DMO Xian. Don't underestimate your brothers. Even if you're not here, they won't stop their training. DMO Xian caressed her fine black hair. Based on your current condition, I'm afraid you won't be able to train your brothers. Yiqing Luo's cheeks blushed slightly as she pouted. Can't you see who's the one who caused this? She was exhausted and had no strength left in her. Even if he went to the devil class, he probably wouldn't be able to do much. It was also possible the students of the devil class saw through it. You take a good rest today. DMO Xian met her reproachful gaze. All right, I'll bring you some food first to replenish your energy. With that, He gently kissed her lips. Following that, he lifted the blanket and got off the bed. Yiqing Luo gave an ah as she tugged the blanket and covered her head. He was actually naked. From head to toe, he was totally naked. She even saw. Cough, cough. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.